Welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. This is your boy, Nick, or Alfred from Batman, at Win With Niners on Twitter. You are now watching Shank Club NFL live and direct from the UK, just after 9:30 Eastern in the United States. Really looking forward. We've got a great show today. Sorry, I just got distracted by a pop-up that's got right in the way. Got a great show lined up. Got some good guests coming in. We're going to be talking about the schedules for all the teams that we follow. Obviously, we are slightly Niner heavy as usual, but also we're going to talk Pats, Steelers. We were going to talk Tampa Bay, but unfortunately, he has had to dip out. We're going to get into it. I've got Carl alongside me as ever. So, let's do it. Welcome. We are the Shank Club NFL. We are back again every Saturday from now on. We will be back, Shank Club NFL. I'm your boy, Nick, obviously. Alongside me, as usual, my co-host in the building, Carl. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon, mate. Yeah, I'm okay.
Slight technical hitches. I kept pressing the wrong buttons and a pop-up turn up, and now your microphone's...
It's not you.
Silly arses.
It's not you. I think it is the microphone. I think the microphone sorted itself out now. But I'm okay. I had a stressful week at work, but schedules come out and we are getting London games, so I can't be any more happier than that at this moment in time. So let's bring on what we got on today.
We are going to be touching on those London games as well as the schedule. Also got a show and tell for memorabilia. I do have a shock announcement when that comes to that Carl revealed before we went live, and I can't believe it, and I think I'm going to have to call him out over it. But we'll see. Got our first guest in the building. A welcome return. David, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're good.
We're good, voice. We're good.
Awesome.
Did I see you had your birthday a week or so ago? Was that you, or was that someone? Am I thinking of someone?
No, yeah, that was me. Yeah, May 11th. Yes, sir.
Oh, I'd say I do pay some attention to other people. I'm not just there ripping out the English guys. I do actually pay attention. Peachy, nice to see you in the building. Glad you're with us. We have got hopefully Wayne Breezy coming on, Mr. Smug. Freddie, the poshest person ever in the history of NFL UK. So we got a few more people lined up. Obviously, David, we didn't speak to you when the draft happened. What's your short take on, obviously, I see you've got your number 5 jersey. Have you got the jersey on there?
That's right. Just got it a couple days ago. So I think that kind of tells you everything you need to know. I'm ecstatic about Lance. This kid is going to be good. He's very talented, and I think they definitely made the right choice.
Definitely. And what do you think about the other picks? I know a lot of people were kind of ragging on. They didn't think the first running back they took, Sermon, was going to be much good. You've also had that lineman from Notre Dame. And apparently Lynchy's friend, and they don't. And I think it was Izzy was saying that she was pissed off because they drafted him because McGlinchey said so, and she was quite vocal on the last show. But what would you give the overall grade of the Niners draft?
I would say a B plus, because I think the biggest thing Niner fans have to remember is this draft was all about depth. and we got depth finally, and that's what the Niners needed. We had no depth last year at all. So this is just stacking up the cards, the running backs, the offensive line. Thank goodness they drafted 2 corners, because that's something we desperately needed, was corners. So I'm happy for it. I'm not as worried as other Niner fans about not drafting a receiver. I really think that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have a plan, and I think they're very happy with what they have on the roster. And I think you're going to see some, especially the undrafted free agent Watkins. I think he's going to make the team. I think he's going to be a good player. So yeah, I'm ecstatic.
Definitely. Next up, the poshest man on Twitter. He apparently, when we speak schedules, is going to tell us why Pittsburgh Steelers aren't going to be as dreadful as I think they're going to be. So I'm looking forward to that. Freddie, how are you, sir?
I'm good, and I'm going to quickly correct you because it's schedules and not schedules. We're not American, unlike some people who will be on later on. That's my biggest bugbear of the week. It's schedules, not schedules.
How very British of you. I've just got to go and get a tomato out the fridge.
I might not drop quite to that correction, but I want to live up to my name as the world's poshest man, so I got to correct you on.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't come on with with the old bow tie and dinner jacket and all that get up on.
Maybe next week.
So it looks like you just stepped out of bed with your pajama top on.
Yeah, why not?
Right, I'm not going to rag you anymore because I know you take it in good spirit, Freddie. But good to have you along. And also, we have an imposter because he texted me and said he wasn't coming on, and all of a sudden, it's probably to show off that nice haircut he's got.
Yeah, probably.
Mr.
I got 5 minutes. I've got 5 minutes, so I thought I'd quickly pop in.
That's very, very kind of you.
The epitome of an imposter. He only wants to come in 5 minutes. Okay, I'm off now.
Exactly.
I've got things to do.
Typical Bucks fan.
I can do the Bucks schedule. I can do that bit. I can do my show tell.
Well, that's the thing. You see, we grabbed all the schedules and then said you weren't coming on, so we deleted the Tampa Bay one because it was a waste of time. And now all of a sudden you pop up.
Time out. No, you said delete the Tampa Bay one. I've still got it.
Oh, share the screen then, young man. Shark, go through it quickly. Tell us who you think your losses will be. And I don't want to hear
shouldn't take long.
And none of that old cobblers.
No, I'm not. I'm not buying into this Skip Bayless going unbeaten shit. Jesus.
Good boy. Good boy. Shark, I can't even see your eyes. I can't even see your eyes, Shark.
Right. For me, I looked over it, and obviously, I don't see many. That'll be honest with you. But if I'm gonna pinpoint a few, I'd go week 3. We always struggled against the Rams. The only time we beat them, I think Jameis Winston threw for 8 touchdowns, 3 of which were for the Rams. It was really quite impressive. So I'll go Rams week 3. Week 11. One, it's Brady and the Giants. They almost beat us last year if it wasn't for what should have probably been a PI call. So I'd say you're maybe looking at 1 loss there, and then just week 14. Those are the 3 that I had when I was doing my ambitious. But obviously, look at those 2 Saints games too, and don't run up the Colts as well. Carson Wentz hasn't actually played against us before, and the Eagles obviously was an Eagle. They've always had a chance of beating us on first quarterback games, so I'm kind of wary of Carson Wentz as well. So those are so 12, if we go 12-4, I'll give the Colts a win.
The Saints is an interesting one, obviously, because they've got Jameis Winston, who apparently is going to be starting over Taysom Hill, but I don't know how smoke and mirrors that is this early in the season. But I wouldn't really be worried about the Saints this year. We all know
Sean Payton's got a ridiculously good record against the Bucks. So I haven't given them a win with my finalised record, but I'm just saying we've got to be wary.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you more wary then? Are you more wary then of, say, the Falcons than the Saints? Is that what you're trying to say?
I honestly don't think we have any real divisional rival. That's nothing to do with us being fantastic. I just don't like what the other teams have done. I feel like the Falcons, Kyle Pitts and Matt Ryan could go well, especially if they keep hold of some of them receivers. That could be a strong offense. But for me, the Falcons probably should have taken QB or traded out at 4. I feel like they could have gone for more needs or go for future quarterbacks, so that they're not worrying, not this season anyway. The Panthers, if you're telling me that Sam Darnold's going to start against us twice a year, I'm happy with that. And then obviously you said it yourself with the Saints, they've lost their golden boy. So yeah, honestly, I think we'd be hard pressed to lose more than one divisional game this year.
You are seriously trying very, very hard, Shark, to take over from Mr. Smug to be.
But there's nothing smug about that in terms of the other teams are just bad.
In fairness, though, if you look at that Bucs schedule, I can see at most 4 losses.
Me too. I see 4 losses.
We've got 29th for schedule difficulty. That's what they say. They say they've got the best
third
seasons
easy.
ever.
You got third easiest schedule in the NFL this season.
Yeah, but you look at it when you come second in your division and then you win the Super Bowl, it's always going to look promising. You know, we've avoided, like, if you look at the teams we avoid Green Bay. Obviously, that's a lot of stuff going on there. But who else would you avoid? I'm trying to figure on the other divisions now.
49ers.
Seahawks.
Seahawks. 49ers.
Exactly. Yeah,
we won't talk about the NFC.
You could argue that yeah, out of all the teams in the is it NFC West, sorry, we've probably got the easiest game of the season, and that's by coming second. If you look at it like, so again with the Cowboys, that I think honestly that could be embarrassing for them opening night. I think we could really like sort of the whole Bucs are going to do the repeat on that day. I think that will cause a lot of hype certainly in our camp. I think we're going to annihilate the Cowboys week 1.
Again, the Cowboys are an interesting one, obviously, because you've got Prescott coming off his injury.
All I see with the Cowboys is a slightly better Atlanta. Fantastic offensively, but defensively they're all over the shop, and I don't think they've improved either.
It's like you're telling me you're going to deal with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Scotty Miller, Gronkowski with people like Leighton Van Der Esch and Trayvon Diggs. No. Not a chance.
Has Antonio Brown re-signed then for you?
Yeah, he's back on a 1 year.
Oh, he is.
Everyone's re-signed for the Buccaneers. They've brought base.
Yeah,
they
22.
They had best off season.
Yeah.
They didn't need to bring anybody in. They just had to bring everyone back, and that's what they've done.
It's not only that, but it's like what they say is we have one of the scariest D lines in the NFL as it is, and now we've got a steal at 32 with Joe Tryon. Apparently he was a first round edge rusher, and you're putting someone else into that. And I don't like Kyle Trask as the future plan. Got to be honest with you, that pick I'm a bit iffy on. But for the first time in Brady's career, it's the first time I've actually seen him openly want to be a mentor. It's something you never really saw at the Pats. He never really wanted to be that mentor figure, but now you hear reports of him texting Kyle Trask and inviting him to private workouts second day as a Buccaneer. You think, hold on. Like, if Brady's on board to teach the guy, and if Brady's had any influence in that pick, then my opinion of him would strongly change going into the future.
I think one of the biggest games is that Indianapolis Colt game. That's going to be a good game. Really good matchup.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you might have dipped out at the point where I said I'm always wary of Carson Wentz because Eagles quarterbacks' first games against us have been really good. Like Nick Foles, I think did it to us. I remember because there's a distinctive memory of my brother of me being very, very angry in our living room as they beat us with very little time to go. So, yeah, that's always a fun one for me though with the older brother. So
the thing is, you've got what the Steelers had last season in that you've got the NFC East and the AFC South. So, or the AFC East and the NFC East. So it's fairly straightforward. Yeah, I genuinely think you'll win 13, maybe even 14 games of that.
Can we all agree?
Tampa.
Can we all agree the NFC East is still the worst division in football?
Yeah, by a long way. Yeah,
I don't think that's even in question.
I don't think any single team in the NFC East this offseason got better. The only one I'd argue got better would be the Eagles because they got Devonta Smith. But even
you could argue Washington. I think Fitzmagic is an upgrade on Haskins.
Yeah, but for 1 year, that's the problem. There's no future. You've got this amazing young defense, and you have no offensive future plan now.
Do agree.
Carl
with
and
that.
I was saying before you all joined, before we went live on air, if Fitzpatrick is Fitzmagic with that defense and that front seven, Washington could easily piss that division and maybe go further in the playoffs. But we all know what Fitzmagic is like. it's flaky, you know, and he may all of a sudden, and he's got some weapons there on offense as well. So McLaurin and running back, etc. So they could be quite a serious contender, but not for it all. Don't get me wrong. But if the dice fall where they should do, you shouldn't discount Washington to, you know, have a much better season and maybe get into the deeper bits of the playoffs, because it is a trash division. So it is going to be interesting.
It's a big season for the Giants, particularly Daniel Jones as well, because they've given him so many weapons now that if he can't succeed with the players around him, then he's
finally got his running back. You know, I mean, that's that. I think it's, you say Daniel Jones, but it's a big year for Barkley because he needs to stay healthy for a year, because he's not. He's going to become one of them sort of like couple million a year backs, because he's good, but you never know how many games you're going to get. And I think as it stands, he's going to be like not looking at top 5 money. I think the Giants would be silly to be giving him top 5 money with his knee as it is, but it's a big season for him because he has to prove it again. You know, they say about like second years and all that, but he's not been given that opportunity yet. So I think if there's any team in the NFL that's going to learn a lot about their future this year, it's going to be the Giants. They've got so many players that are this is it, you know. So there's a lot.
You can say the same about Carolina, because Carolina is going to be a better team. They got McCaffrey back. I think they upgraded at quarterback. So are they going to win the division? No, but I think Carolina is going to be very competitive, and it's going to be interesting because they do have an interesting schedule.
Carolina remind me of that team that's going to have competitive games all through the year, but still end 3-13. So like they'll only lose by like 7 points every week, but they just are eventually. What it breaks down to is when it comes to crunch time, they're probably going to lose most games by that 7 points margin.
More like 4 and 13, because 17 goes forward.
They've got too many inexperienced players on defense. They haven't really got those 2 or 3 big leaders that can.
Well, they're missing them
over the line in games.
We know they're missing their big leader. Luke Kuechly was
Luke Kuechly, didn't they?
Carolina defense.
They got a linebacker in the draft, didn't they?
Well,
did they get their replacement in the draft?
Yeah,
who do you guys think is a better quarterback?
No, that was Cowboys.
Darnold or Bridgewater?
No, Michael Parsons.
Sorry, say that again. David didn't catch that.
I was just asking the group, what do they think is a better quarterback, Bridgewater or Darnold?
Darnold.
It depends. Talent wise, I think it's very similar. But if you're asking me who I'd rather have, I'm going to take Darnold because he's cheaper and he's younger.
And I think
he suffered so much at the Jets. You have to give this guy something to work with. If you don't give anything to work with, he ain't going to turn fucking water into wine in the space of a season. It's not possible. So to go to Carolina, I think Matt Rule is going to get the best out of him. You've got a tailback in Christian McCaffrey, who is an absolute stud. So it's going to help him in a lot of play action.
They've got
some good weapons. They've got some good weapons. So let's see what Sam can do.
Yeah, I was going to say they've got a really good.
We've all seen Teddy Two Gloves ceiling, right? We haven't seen what Darnold can really do in a system that helps him. And obviously the QB killer Adam Gase, we all know what happened. You know, I mean, so that's going to be an interesting one. Everyone knows what Bridgewater can do, and he's kind of like a poor man's Alex Smith, where he's a game manager. He doesn't really excite you, but you know he's not going to put you in a position of like 8 interceptions a game and things like that. Whereas Darnold, as I say, we've not seen him yet. So I'm quite intrigued to see how that Darnold experiment works, if I'm honest.
I've just got one more comment for this schedule picture here, by the way. I'm just saying, if you see that week 9 bye, I wouldn't be terribly surprised if we go into 8-0. If we start the season 4-0, we'll probably go into 8-0.
No.
You have got the garbage pats on there.
But the thing is, the only time we've got a low schedule week, so the only time we've got to play after 4 days is the Eagles, and I don't see that being a particular problem. And then you're going to give us a 10 days off for the Bears on that defense that beat us last season. And then the rest of them, you've got 10 days to deal with the Falcons, which need about 4, but...
I tell you, I do love some confidence. I'll give you that shot.
weeks 11 to 14. If there's any hope of hell of us ever going unbeaten, which I don't believe, if anything at this point, I'm just humouring Twitter. But if there's any way I was doing it, it's going to be week 11 to 14 that do it for us. That's where I could see maybe like 3 losses in 4 coming. Like if we lose that Giants game and heads drop and go into that Colts after a loss, it becomes interesting.
What about week 7 against Chicago? Because obviously we know that they drafted to get Justin Fields. If Andy Dalton starts for Bears, I don't think there should be any but of an issue.
Well, that's it.
But if he gets benched and then Justin Fields comes in and starts lighting it up, say the game against the Eagles first before in their game of week 6, is that going to be is that going to be a problem for Bruce Arians to deal with? Knowing they don't know a lot about Justin Fields.
Right now I'm in a position where we're going to comfortably beat the Bears. Right now, I'm also not silly enough to say that on October when we're playing October 16th or October 17th, say we're doing this the week before the Bears game or Saturday before the Bears game, I am not dumb enough to tell you that my answer could be completely different. Justin Fields could be the absolute God's gift to the NFL. It could be like Patrick Mahomes. You know, if he comes out flying, then yeah, if Khalil Mack, Eddie Jackson, that Bears defense and a quarterback that can really make it work, yeah, you're damn right they've got a chance. But unfortunately, we're not there yet. I think if we're talking about quarterbacks, I think Justin Fields will have the most time to succeed. He'll be given the most time at the Bears. I think the Bears is a good place for any quarterback to go. They seem to be very patient, to say the least. But I think Zach Wilson will succeed. I think Trevor Lawrence will succeed. I don't think Trey Lance will succeed.
What? Wow. Did you hear that, Alfred?
I did hear that, and I'm really intrigued as to why you would think that he wouldn't over the others that obviously went high in the draft as well. What's your?
I'm not saying you should have picked Mac Jones, because I don't think he'll be very good either.
I was just about to start crying.
So you're going to say Fields is a better talent than Lance? Is that what you're going to say?
I'm not saying he's a better talent than Lance. I'm saying he's going to be more successful.
No, not for the Bears.
I don't know about that, man. I'm going to disagree.
I don't think he's more talented, but I think he's smarter.
You see, the thing is with that, I'll tell you, honestly, I'm really glad you came on, because I'm going to get a bit heated in a minute.
Anyway, 5 minutes is over.
Oh yeah, no, that's convenient. Go.
Yeah, Trey Lance just shit. See you later.
Trey Lance apparently has got the best IQ and everything, and close behind him is Justin Fields. And I know, obviously you've got to be able to read defenses and react and things like that. And the big thing about Lance is that's what he does very, very well. So I don't agree with you on that. I mean, I still think, and I know David's not going to like this, but I still think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be there, and they're going to roll with him until the bye week and see what happens before. And if they do introduce Lance, he's not start. I don't think he's going to start. I think Garoppolo, if he's there for obvious reasons, will be the starter. But I am interested to see what he can do in the preseason. Definitely, I think.
I've got a good question for you then.
Go on then.
You've received I've heard some considerably decent offers for a player like Jimmy Garoppolo. You've gone and traded up to 3. Why Garoppolo the chance? Why not take the money, get your returns back? Because why are you trading up to 3 to give a different guy a chance? Like, I understand. Sure, if you're going to make a move for a guy like Trey Lance, you've got to believe in the move you've made. You've got to say, Jimmy, sorry, it's not worked out. We'll take the value on him. You can't what if Jimmy G goes and starts the next 8 weeks? I don't know when your bye week is, unfortunately. So, yeah, but say it's week 8,
week 6.
Oh, so it's an early one. So say he goes out the first 5 weeks and he's absolutely acing it. You're going in 4-1. Your only loss is close. Trey Lance is going to sit there being, why have these guys picked me up 3 as some sort of NFL ready talent? If Jimmy G's now the net absolutely lighting up the NFL, what do you do then? Because you're not going to get number 3 pick value from Trey Lance on a trade when you're not starting the kid.
Because he's a hangnail away.
I can tell you exactly why. Because go ahead.
was going to say the issue is with Jimmy G, and it's always, well, ever since he's been in San Francisco, you know, he's like glass, and we're an injury away from him being taken out of the game. Now, last year, I think they rushed him back too early with that ankle sprain, and he made it worse when he came back in, and everyone could see he was injured. But whether it was him who said he wanted to play or whether they threw him under the bus, who knows? But, you know, Lance is the future of this franchise after this season. I firmly believe going forward after this season, even if we win the Super Bowl, and Lance,
well, that'd be best case scenario then. Yeah, best case scenario.
Is the future, and that's why they went up to 3. And all this bullshit about them taking Mac Jones at 3. Well, David will tell you, I think every 49er fan was going to jump off a cliff if they'd have taken that player. For sure. What's your feelings on Lance, David? What do you think?
I honestly think, and I will come back on this show and say if I'm wrong, but I truly believe that week 4 schedule where we play Seattle is going to be the tipping point, because Seattle being our enemy will be the point to see if Jimmy G can overcome or not. I know a lot of people are talking about the bye week 6, but I'm telling you right now, if he struggles against Seattle, no matter if we're 2-0 or 3-0, and Kyle sees that going into week 5 against the Cardinals and a mobile quarterback, he is going to go with Lance in week 5. That's what I'm projecting right now. He will go in week 5, no matter what our record is.
Good idea. It'll be a really good idea, because then you go into the bye week and you've gone right. So say you go win that Cardinals game with Lance. You go into the bye week going right. We win with Lance. How do we keep winning with Lance? You know
exactly. Yep.
I like that. Obviously, I didn't know your schedule, but I'd like that. Definitely would agree with that approach. Whether or not we disagree on Lance, whether or not he's going to be any good.
But another thing, Shark, you got to remember why they kept Jimmy G is if you look at our roster, they signed back everybody to 1-year deals. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to see with the same roster if they can do what they did in 2019 with bringing everybody back similar to the Bucks and trying to get back to the Super Bowl again with the same type of roster. So that's another reason they kept Jimmy G, because if they keep the same chemistry, they're hoping that it will. If not, you go with Lance.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's it. But you get these guys back on 1-year deals. It's as simple as you prove that you are the Super Bowl edition of yourself, or are you this 2020 dire season of yourself, and then you cut the shit. Simple as that. End of the season, you cut the shit. There's no loyalty in American football anymore. If you're not good enough, you're gone. I think there's a couple of teams that have become very adamant on proving this and have seen success from this, where like even the biggest names to the franchise have just been cut off the bat. Like I think a big one this offseason, which isn't much of a surprise, but I was somewhat intrigued to see that James Conner was cut. Yeah, obviously he was the Pittsburgh Colt hero. It just shows you that like the names and who you are don't mean shit to these teams.
Well, look at J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt was the face of the Texans. That is the weirdest thing.
He asked to leave, though. It wasn't like the Texans cut him. He did turn around and say, "No, I want to chase a ring."
But I don't, man. That's hard for me to believe that they didn't have discussions of at least trying to keep him after all he's done for that team. That's just crazy.
I feel like they would have. I feel like JJ's just in the position where I think he was talking of the way he treats his body at the moment. He can't play till like 38, 39 years old. I think it is only a couple of years back. So I think he decided that he wants to go on a team that's ready to compete for the Super Bowl. Now I feel like DeAndre Hopkins has stopped him going for top tier and sort of got him on that sub good tier that could do it. But I think that JJ could have done better. And I feel like we're not having an Aaron Rodgers discussion of ever leaving the Packers if JJ Watt's currently on the Packers, which is one of the big teams to talk to. I feel like everything's hunky-dory up in Green Bay. And I feel like that's where the move should have been made. You put JJ Watt on that team, I feel like that is what both of those teams needed. You've got an extra defensive pass rusher who isn't Darius Smith, who can't be double covered. You can get that extra side pass rush. And then you've got the offensive Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers. I think that could have been where a Super Bowl contender could have been made this offseason. Yeah.
I agree.
I actually thought Buffalo would have been a better spot for him, but I do agree about Green Bay.
Oh, same point though. Yeah, Buffalo again. Buffalo, you instantly put them in that top 2 in the division, top team in the division conversation with an addition like what? I think you could argue that they're both of those teams are in the same position. You know, you've only got one team better than you in either conference. You had JJ Watt, probably to just give you the extra edge in that conference championship game.
Yep.
Anyway, I had show and tell, so I feel there's a bit of pressure on me as a memorabilia person. I've only got one thing in my university room at the moment, but it is
Don't you
Super
dare
Bowl.
bring out that bloody helmet.
That's gone. That's been sold. I don't want any of that red and
What?
gold.
You didn't even offer it to me. I
I
can't
don't want that
believe
red
you.
and gold shit in my house. Hold on, camera's there. Right, there you go. That's my Chrome.
It just looks like someone smudged some shit on a gold helmet and put 58 on it.
That so-called shit managed to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Hey, and I appreciate that. Thank you. I won a lot of money in that Super Bowl. Appreciate it.
No worries, but anyone who bets against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, there's like a 70% chance that you're going to lose your money. Don't do it.
Yeah.
It's not smart, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
All I'm saying is I came on here for the entirety of the playoffs, basically slagged off every teams in the predictions side of things, just insulted teams, and I was rarely wrong. I think I was closer on every time. I had a good time with the playoffs this year.
All I'll say is this, Shark, and this is the last thing I'll lead you. Tom Brady is 0-2 against Cam Newton.
Right.
It was that bad of a comment.
Okay.
It kicked David out. Look at that.
Cam Newton's 6-10 against the league. The only way Cam Newton gets an important win against Tom Brady is if we beat the playoffs, and that ain't happening.
The only way
Belichick will have a plan. I wouldn't count out the Patriots in that game at all just yet.
Oh, it's going to be interesting.
It begins with P, ends in E, and it's called pressure. Pressure, pressure, pressure.
Yeah, but
I never see my team blitz no more than 15% of the game ever. But when you know that a quarterback is static, you have to go after him. And I think Belichick is going to. Go on.
I'll give you one reason why pressure is going to work against Brady, and that I think Brady knows now more than ever that it is. I think Father Time is somewhat getting to him, and that pressure is very important. And it was the addition of Giovanni Bernard, because we didn't have that quick that running back on our roster this year, and I think it showed very much. If you watched any of the Tampa games, you saw that Tom Brady did not trust Ronald Jones, not one bit. He fumbled the ball too much and he didn't catch it enough. He just didn't trust the guy. So you look at, we bring in this pass catching running back of Giovanni Bernard, and it shows that he needs his James White back. That's the one thing he was missing. His quick drop it off to you. You can get 5 yards when I should be getting sacked. And I feel like Giovanni Bernard could be on for a career season this year. Obviously not that difficult given the fact it's Giovanni Bernard, but you know.
Comment here. Hello, the Jez Show watching us on Twitch. It's very, very rare we get anyone watching us on Twitch, let alone commenting. He said he can't use a pressure defense on Brady because it will give the league template for shutting down Mac Jones for the next 15 years.
That's a good point. It's a very good point. But, he is slightly more mobile than Brady. Watching him at Alabama, he does move around in the pocket a lot more, and he has scrambled to his left and right on throws. Okay, his completion percentage isn't great when being forced out, but his quick instincts will get the ball out very, very quickly.
The agenda to beat the Patriots was apply pressure to them for 20 years, and not many teams stopped them on that one. And they still got, 6 Super Bowls out of it? There's nothing that, if Mac Jones is going to succeed, it's going to be because Mac Jones is a good enough quarterback to succeed. I don't think the structure or the formations they're going to be putting out is going to be any issue. I don't feel like teams are going to be getting to Mac Jones like they would, as if they're not going to have the same protection that Brady had. He's a rookie who falls over a lot more than the greatest ever player of all time. It's good to know.
No, the greatest player of all time.
Let the guy play some games in the NFL before we start throwing things that he falls over a lot more. We can't.
Yeah.
I'd be funny. Have you seen some of these absolute ridiculous college players this year that have like these tiny little home linemen that aren't going anywhere near the NFL, and then you've got this absolutely massive human who just rinses past them. Like college, getting sacked and tackles in college is different. Like you don't have that caliber of every player is good enough to be here, or has earned the right through the draft to be here. You can't judge all of this on college. You got to let the guy play, especially things like pocket pressure. You can't get a realistic feel for it yet.
Not at the moment, definitely. Don't forget, if this is your first time watching, hit that like and subscribe button down below. We appreciate you. We are broadcasting live on Twitch, on YouTube as well. Apparently, the link for Twitter Live has already gone down. It lasted 38 seconds. So thanks, Twitter.
Anyway, boys, you've interrupted enough of my revision time. It's meant to be 5
Anyway,
minutes, bit of a half hour. But anyway,
Shark, you've said your bit. GTFO. See you soon, mate.
I'll clip this one when Trey Lance busts.
Oh, wow.
Scott,
He literally just
come
came
you
on
must
and
be
just-
out there somewhere, Scott. Scott, get your
He
ass
just-
on here because we need the
He just came
American
on
version of
back
Mr. Smug.
He just came onto this site. He just came onto this stream and just dumped a humongous shit on every single team.
I got away with
that
it.
Oh, you're not going to get away with it, Freddie, because we're going to do your Steelers next, and I
Right.
need some comedy on your schedule. So let's bring it up.
I was quite happy
Hopefully.
here, sat here whilst the Patriots and the 49ers were getting rinsed. So bring it on.
You're not getting off. You're not getting off that easy, mate. Trust me. So, obviously, we didn't do a show last week, so I haven't had your feelings on the draft. So, obviously, I know you took Najee Harris in the first round. What's your overall grade for your draft and what you did in the draft?
Well, I've seen some ridiculous takes saying, "Oh, the Steelers C-, C's, and whatnot." Now, I put them quite solidly as a B, but I hate draft grades. I think they're the most pointless waste of twaddle going. So I'm not a big fan, but I like what we've done. We've completely transformed our run game, which we had to do. We've got our starting centre in Kendrick Green, who I've watched the tape and I'm very happy with. The big question, as I'm sure you'll mention, is at left tackle. We've got I think Filer is meant to start there and move over from right tackle, and Banner will start at right tackle, but I'm not convinced by that at all. And the other question, of course, is at cornerback, which I don't think we really addressed either. So it's those two positions I think are probably our two weakest spots. But I trust the team. I think we are in a better shape than we were last year. Although you've got the schedule up here. Our schedule is pretty horrendous, particularly once you get to those. You look at those last 6 games. We've got Baltimore twice. We're in Minnesota. We've got the Titans. We've got Kansas City on Boxing Day, and then we've also got the Browns. So unless we start really strongly, it's going to be a tough ask to really keep up with the Browns and the Ravens.
You're muted again.
Oh,
Nick.
I'll carry on talking.
Carry on, mate.
Yeah.
Don't worry about me. I'm old and senile, but obviously I was insulting saying from the NFL, Merry fucking Christmas. Have the Kansas City Chiefs on Boxing Day. I mean, there's one week I will say you'll definitely win, and it might be the only week, and that's the bye week.
Cheers. No, I think
that is a very, very difficult schedule. You know, it's and this is the thing with these schedule reviews and whatever. Everyone can think their team's going to go, you know, undefeated or only lose this amount of games. I mean, how many games do you think you're going to lose based on that schedule?
Easily 6, probably more than that. I mean, I've already written off the Chiefs game. I've written off at least 2 of the Browns and Ravens games, so we might go 2-2 in those at a push. So that's 3. I've probably said are losses. We'll struggle to win in both of Buffalo and Green Bay, so probably count one of those. Maybe even the Chargers, and then one of our home games will slip up as well. So I've got at least probably 6 defeats at best, maybe more.
Now, I think that the thing that is going to help you this season, which didn't help, and I think, again, with all the teams this year, is having fans back in the stadiums. I think that's going to help. I'm not saying it's going to all of a sudden, for the home team, is going to bring an extra 6 wins, whatever, but it's got to help having fans back in these stadiums.
I think
And
the
some
other
of
thing
these
that's going to help us big time is also having an actual bye week this year. Because, of course, last year we had our bye week taken away from us because of the Titans COVID situation, which I think helped contribute to our...
I've just got to get my tissue out my pocket and wipe away a little tear.
Yeah, but it is what happened. We did get screwed over more than most last year by the COVID situation, but we couldn't do anything about it. We just had to get on with it. And as Tomlin said himself, we don't care. We just crack on. Sadly, it didn't quite work out that way, and we just went like that. But hey, it is what it is.
I mean, that offensive line and obviously the new running back that's coming in is obviously key because your defense did get slightly weaker with the players they lost. Do you think if you were going to get into, you're going to get into a shootout with, say, I don't know, the Browns or the Titans or KC, I mean, any team or any team, do you think that offense is going to be able to keep up with some of these high-powered offenses? Bearing in mind, obviously, Sharp was talking about Brady slowing up, etc. Now, we all know, and as much as I slate the statue, he is as hard as nails. I don't think last year it was the offensive scheme so much as he is now regressing. Could you trust Ben in a shootout?
Yes. Look at the weapons he's got. I mean, yeah, I definitely can. Look at the playoff game, for example. We were completely written off after the first quarter, and had it been for a very dodgy call from Mike Tomlin on 4th and 1 to punt, we could well have come back in that game. We very nearly did come right back in that game. So, yeah, I don't get the Ben slander. I mean, anyone who watched the Steelers last year would look at Randy Fichtner's scheme and think, what on earth is this bloke doing? So
he should have been fired 2 years ago.
So having a brand new offensive coordinator, having an actual run game now.
That's the thing I don't get.
The classic
is the overall main man, right? So if he didn't agree with what your offensive coordinator was calling, why didn't he pull him to one side, rip his nuts off, and say to him, I want you to do this? What the fuck are you doing, you dumbass?
The thing is, Nick, that we never, ever, ever sack our coaches. So if they're on a 2-year contract, they will serve those 2 years. And the classic Steeler thing is to just let them go when their contract runs out. We run things so differently from any other franchise. It's all about continuity rather than completely wiping everything clean and starting again every season, which means that we're normally around the top, but we're never winning. We're never the Bucks or the Chiefs who've gone right deep and gone for it.
Okay, I get that you don't fire them, but how many coaches do you see or hear even that have got an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator, but they still call the plays, yet they still have those coordinators? And this year you'll see it in San Francisco. For the first time, Kyle is going to have an offensive coordinator. Do you actually think it's going to be him calling the plays? Of course it isn't. This is Kyle's team. So
yeah, but Mike Tomlin's a defense man, so he's just going to leave the offense to the offensive coordinator.
My point is, if he didn't like that system, then he's there in name only, right? Because we could all see what was happening. Dump off, run, crap, rubbish off. And me personally, if I was Mike Tomlin, I would have just binned him and done it myself. Because they've got loads of offensive assistant coaches and quarterback coach and this, that, and the other coach. Just say, right, you step back, you do it.
I think you can quite clearly see by the change in direction that Matt Canada, who is very, very, very different the styles, we are almost completely changing our offensive scheme this year. So it's going to be a totally different look to the Steelers. It'll be back a bit more run first, finally, that we'll see, and hopefully not see Ben having to throw 50 times a game, which again was another contribution for why our slide happened towards the end of the season, was that we were just forcing him to throw the ball far too many times, and we became so predictable that won't happen this year.
It's going to be. I've got you. If you get to sort of 8-7, whatever, I think it'll be a good season. Tomlin, I don't think, has ever had a losing season. Is that right? Since he's been there,
he hasn't. No.
Never. He's had 8 and 8.
I'm not saying if he has a losing season. I think the blame will be more on Roethlisberger than it would ever be on Tomlin, because of what the power that he holds with the Rooneys and things like that. So it is going to be interesting. So how many games in total did you have losing, did you say?
I had a minimum of 6, but I think we can win 10 games realistically. I think the likeliest answer is probably 9 and 8, but I think we're going to be challenging with the likes of the Patriots for those wildcard spots. Personally, I think it'll be us, the Patriots, probably the Ravens. I think the Browns will probably win our division, but I wouldn't say that's an absolute certainty, because I think all 3 teams at the top of the AFC North will take wins off each other. Who else will be a wild card? The Chargers, and maybe one of the Titans or Colts as well. So there'll be about 3 or 5 teams that will be in the running.
Hang on, you got Tennessee winning the AFC South.
No, I said they probably won't, but they should come second quite comfortably ahead of the 2 train wrecks. Well, the Jags are getting better, but the Texans are, of course, a train wreck. I wouldn't count Tennessee out, though.
No, I'm not. I wouldn't count Tennessee out, but they haven't really. They added Khalid Farley in the first round, but back injury at his age. Bud Dupree, as well, they needed pass rush because they were ranked 28th in pass rushing efficiency last year. That's how bad they were on defense.
But it's scary because they were a good defense. That's an interesting stat, because they were a very stout defense.
They had a good secondary. They had a very good secondary.
It was the pass rush that was the problem. They put all their chips on Jadeveon Clowney, and he was dreadful. That was the biggest issue.
They've got the opposite. They've got the exact opposite to Washington. Washington have a ferocious front 7, but their secondary is very placid, very weak. They've sort of addressed that in the offseason. See what Washington do in this up and coming season.
I think Washington. I would almost put money on Washington being the best defense in the league this year, and that I know that's a bit of a hot take, but that would be my view.
They're playing in the worst division in the NFL. So
yeah.
So there you go, everybody. Freddie's just said a top tip for fantasy: go and get the Washington football team's defense.
Would not surprise me in the slightest. I don't know if you put this comment up from Carly. Carly, always a pleasure to have you in the building. No team was screwed more than COVID than the Niners. Very true. Forced to play Green Bay, which. Debatable, but yes, basically other teams had their games cancelled when COVID obviously was playing a part in it, and we were actually forced out of our own stadium, which is fucking ridiculous because of it.
There were a few teams who got screwed out more than others, that's for sure. The Steelers were one, the Niners were one, the Broncos were another one. Of course, they had to play this guy at quarterback from Wake Forest, so
yeah, we was one.
So there were teams that did get affected far more than others did, but that was just the makings of the season. There wasn't much we could do about it. So
no, it was a weird season for sure. And I know, obviously, coming off the Super Bowl and that, and then obviously all the injury bug hit with the Niners and things like that. And again, it's going to be a very interesting season for a lot of teams, even the Pats, where they had all those opt-outs. On their defense, and obviously that's going to lead straight on to us bringing up the Pats schedule.
All right, hang on a second. I'm not used to this crap.
Mr. Technical, he's got to come in, come out again. But so it is going to be interesting to see the teams that did face diversity last year, I mean, I'm not saying if the Niners would have stayed where they were, it would have been any different. No one knows. Obviously, it was a weird season. Right, Carl. Who do you think you're losing to, or how many games do you think you're going to lose on that, based on that schedule? How long do you think Cam Newton's going to be the QB? Yada yada yada.
Right, okay. I can see us losing at least a minimum of about 7 games as I'm scrolling through right now. Tampa Bay, Brady coming back home. I think he wants to prove it was him all along and not Bill Belichick. So I can see Tampa Bay doing one on us over. Dallas, they're a strange team and they can turn up when they want to, but if it's Tampa Bay at the Chargers, home against Cleveland, at Buffalo, at Indianapolis, at Miami, that's 6. So if I have to choose a 7th, I'll probably say, because we always seem to screw one game up when we're not supposed to, and I'm going to say Week 9 against Carolina. And regarding of what Cam Newton's going to start. He's going to start for us regardless what Mac Jones does in preseason.
Obviously,
Cam Newton is going to start. New England don't have the hardest schedule compared to what they had last year. I think we're tied. I think we're sort of like tied for like the 8th or 9th easiest schedule. So it does look a lot more easy on the eye than us. And we only lost 4 games by 1 score. So I'm looking at this. If Cam Newton screws up, I'm going to say I'm going to give him to halfway through the season, because Mac Jones is a learning project. We'll get to the Chargers in Week 8. If we are not, say, I don't know, 6-2 at the time against the Chargers, I could see us swapping quarterbacks from that moment forward and putting Mac Jones in from Week 9 onwards.
I look at that period, but sort of halfway through the season, but before the bye week. So you've got Cleveland, at Atlanta, Tennessee, and at Buffalo. I mean, yeah, that's a
rough one.
You've got 13 straight weeks without a bye. I mean, it's very rare to see a bye week in mid-December. So by that point, I'm wondering about fitness levels, and I mean, you've got a short week in Atlanta as well, which is going to make things quite difficult there. I think if you're looking for a playoff team, which like us you are, I think it's going to be those 4 games for me are where it's going to be won or lost.
I still think the Chargers have come at us because they have improved. They have improved from last year. And Justin Herbert, we know what a stud of a quarterback he is. Now you added Rashawn Slater, they got in the draft. They added to that offensive line. It's going to be problems to deal with. I'm not worried about Houston because Houston are just a fucking mess right now. The Saints, I'm a little bit on the fence with because we don't know what Jameis Winston's going to turn up. Is he going to turn to this gunslinger that is actually going to cause us problems? Or is he going to open up his bakery again and turn it into a bake sale? Turnover after turnover after turnover. So,
well, Winston's a bit of fancy gold dust. 1 week he'll score you 50 points, the next week he'll score you -2. So you just don't know which Winston you're going to get. Hopefully he'll be a bit more consistent now, but
I will never, ever, ever have Jameis Winston on my fantasy team ever fucking again. He screwed me out of a title 2 years ago. But I digress.
I think for me, in those first 6 weeks, for instance, of that season, potentially, and we don't know what the Jets are going to be like, I could only see you, and I'm being brutally honest now, winning the game against Houston.
Nah, I think you look at Dallas, for example. You look at, I mean, the Jets, they could quite easily win that. Miami at home, you never know. They're more likely to win that than they are to lose, like they do always in Miami, in Florida. But I look at those first 6 games and see they can easily win 4 or 5 of them, let alone only win 1. So,
And also, there's 2 points to make. There's 2 points to make of this as well. Bill Belichick has an 80% win ratio against quarterbacks that are in their rookie season or in their second year. Look how many teams that the Patriots have to play who have got rookie quarterbacks or second-year quarterbacks. There's a few teams. There's a good few teams out there. Also, Bill Belichick's record against first-year head coaches is outstanding. Look how many teams we have to play that have first-year head coaches. Bill Belichick feasts on these sorts of things.
With Tom Brady and a better cast than he's got there now. Let's put that into the mix. It's not all on Belichick. It isn't. It can't be. It's impossible. That was proved, even with the opt-outs and everything last year. It was proved that it wasn't all.
I don't think that's particularly fair. I mean, yeah, obviously there was a factor with Brady, but I mean,
Miami have come on leaps and bounds. Okay, now one of those 2 games with Miami,
we'll lose the last one. I'll tell you this:
they've, New England Jets, New York Jets.
What's your mouth out with smoke?
New coach, new coaching staff, etc. We don't know what's going to happen there. New Orleans, as you say, which they've still got a good defense, but which Jameis Winston turns up, or is it going to be a Taysom Hill stroke Jameis Winston? So again, that's a coin flip.
Do the Saints still have a good defense? They've lost likes of Trey Hendrickson. They've lost
Trey Hendrickson.
They've still got
Cam Jordan.
Rush.
Yeah, they still got Cam Jordan. I think they still got Lattimore, I believe.
Did he stay?
I think Lattimore still stayed. I'll have to double check, but
I'll Google that.
Tampa Bay, we all know that they're both going to want to outdo each other, and it'll probably be 3-3 or something ridiculous. You don't know how that again. That's another coin flip.
That's a matchup I can see. That's a matchup I can see when the Chiefs came to us the first time round. Patrick Mahomes was quarterback, and it was like a 43-40 bloody fireworks display. I can really see that happening.
I mean, I'm not saying Belichick isn't up for every game, because of course he is, but you can see, especially after last year and obviously Tampa winning the whole thing, that he is going to, give $20 million out of his own money to make sure that team wins, if you see what I mean. Pay them extra, because that's the probably out of all of the games, that is the one where he's going to want to show and stick it to Brady. Whether he can or not, who knows? Houston, I think we can all agree that, and again, we don't know who the QB is going to be. I mean, I don't know that situation's gone away with, or I haven't seen any updates. So no one, we don't know with Houston. They've lost a lot of players. Well done, Bill O'Brien. I think they drafted a cleaner, didn't they, in the 10th round of the draft to clean the locker rooms, because they had no actual draft picks because Bill O'Brien gave them all away. Dallas, don't know. Again, as I said earlier, we don't know. That's
got shootout written all over it.
We don't. But again, is Prescott going to be the same player he was before his ACL? Jimmy G certainly isn't.
No, a torn ACL for a quarterback, it takes a good part of really 2 years to get yourself really back on it. So I'm not expecting a lot from Dak. I still expect Dak Prescott to be good, but I just don't think we're going to see him as he was to the start of last year and the following season.
Around, coming out the pocket and running and things like that. Because again, ACLs are, especially for, I know running back is bad for, and obviously Saquon Barkley is going to be interesting this year because he did his ACL, didn't he, last year as well? Was he another ACL person?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the thing with that Cowboys offense is you only really need a competent quarterback to be able to make that really get going. I mean, look at the weapons they've got all over the field. I mean, Jerry Jones made a mistake last year in drafting CeeDee Lamb when they should have gone defense, but Now you look at their offense and you think, blimey, there's weapons all over the place. I don't like Zeke, but he hopefully will be a little bit less of a fumble meister this year. And
This
even
has
if
to, for Ezekiel Elliott, this has to be the year where he turns back into his rookie form. It has to be, otherwise the Cowboys will just cut him.
get rid of him, I agree. Yeah. And even if he doesn't perform, I really do like Tony Pollard as well, so he can come in and do a job. So,
yeah, I mean, it is, as I say, that those first 6 weeks will be interesting. As for the Cam Newton thing, and obviously, it is going to. I'm going to watch New England this year with a bit of interest, just to see, A, to take the piss out of you, Carl, when they get beaten, but B, to see how, with all those players coming back post-COVID, etc., to see what the factors were for them being not as good as they should be. Because obviously everyone has a standard. The Steelers have a standard, the Niners have a standard, every team. And you were below standard last year, and you can point to a lot of reasons why, COVID being one of them and losing all those players on defense. But you get them all back, and it will be interesting to see. But I say that first 6 weeks, there's some coin flip games in there. As I say, you could win one, you could go 3-3. It's really, that's quite an interesting team for next season. And that, Seattle
was a coin flip game. I believe the Kansas City game, that weren't exactly a coin flip, but you put Cam Newton in there rather than Brian Hoyer, because obviously Newton had COVID.
There was that Buffalo game as well.
The Buffalo game where he fumbled, the Broncos game where Drew Lock threw 2 interceptions and Cam Newton could do absolutely nothing with it. That is on the coin
where you got your ass kicked.
Well, I already said the 49ers would beat us in our pre-regular thing anyway. I already said that.
You did say that. I'll give you that.
I'm very good. I'm very good at making my prediction. I know which team's gonna kick our ass. It's like, yeah, this team's gonna hurt us hard. So, but the game against Houston. The game against Houston. I mean, that was just a shit show. That was just awful. Absolutely awful. We have a better schedule. We have new players that have come in. We finally have 2 tight ends that can actually do a fucking job, Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. So, plus we've got your man from 49ers, Kendrick Bourne. We'll see how he pans out. We know what Nelson Aguilar is capable of. We did draft a wide receiver, 7th round, Trey Nixon. We could say, I don't know nothing about this guy. We'll just have to see what he does in preseason. But our offensive line hasn't changed much. Not at all. Apart from Marcus Cannon retiring and Trent Brown coming in, I actually think that's made that line even stronger, because Trent Brown for us was outstanding during our Super Bowl run where we beat the Rams 13-3. So I just like what we've done in the offseason. The schedule does look good for us. If we are going to go back to the playoffs, then we have to win. I'm going to say we need to win 11 games in that schedule. We need to win 11 games. So we need to go 11-6 to at least have a wild card spot. You want to win the division, you're going to have to win 13, 14 games this season.
I mean, on paper, that is a very, very, very good schedule. I mean, just from a neutral point of view, just bring in John. John, how are you,
What's
sir?
up, guys?
Hey. Hi, John.
What's happening? How are you, fellas?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
All good.
Freddie, good to see you, brother. Carl.
Good to see you too.
Nick, what's up, my man? Sorry, man. I'm late, man. I'm late, brother. I'm late.
That's cool. No, that's cool. We haven't done the 49ers yet, so that's good. So we can talk about that in a sec. But obviously, you joined in midway through the New England discussion, and I was just about to say, forgetting the records of the teams on that schedule from last season, that is actually quite an attractive thing to watch on Game Pass every week if you didn't have your own team. There's some good, on paper, there is some good teams, new coaches. As I said, the Jets, the Chargers, Carolina.
That early game
interesting.
That early
Buffalo
game
are
with Cleveland, that Cleveland game, week 10, looks really tasty. I shall definitely be keeping an eye on that one. Come on, Patriots.
Yeah, for sure.
Look, I've got a soft spot for the Browns. I just have. They stole my heart last year because of what they did, and they battered your Steelers in the first quarter of the wild card game. But that's last year. But Cleveland, to me, during this offseason, during the draft, they were one of the better teams in the draft. They needed to sort their secondary out. They needed to sort their linebacker out. They done it. They issued it. They done it over. First round, guy got a good corner in Greg Newsome. Second round, they go and take the seal of the draft in JOK. I'm not going to try and pronounce the name because no one can. So, yeah, that game in week 10 is going to be a really interesting one. I'm actually quite surprised that game isn't going to get flexed or put on live TV. I would have thought that may have been like maybe, I don't know, this might be me being bigging up myself here, maybe even a Sunday night game.
Yeah, I'm surprised Cleveland have only got 3 primetime games. I was shocked when I saw that. We've got 5, and yet Cleveland Browns, who, quite frankly, and I know fellow Steelers fans, if anybody is watching, is going to kill me for this, but the Browns are currently a much better team than we are.
Imagine if they beat Kansas City last year, Freddie. Yeah,
well, they could well have done. They came very close in that divisional round game. So.
Do you think they would have been rewarded a primetime game if they did?
Oh yeah, without a doubt, they'd have had the full lot. I am honestly.
They play Christmas Day, don't? I think Cleveland plays Christmas Day. Actually,
they do. Yeah, they play the Packers.
I'd trade 3 primetime games for a Christmas Day game any day.
Yeah, they play the Packers Christmas Day. We've got the Chiefs on Boxing Day. In Arrowhead.
Carl, how do you see? So, looking at your schedule,
yeah,
have you given your prediction for wins losses? I mean, why don't you just give me the first 7 games, and we can break it down from there.
I'll say after the Chargers game, I can see us going 6-2.
And then going into the bye week, or I'm sorry, after the bye week.
Hang on. You said the first 8 weeks. I was moving on to Carolina, but
no, that's fine. I was going to tell you go the first 7 weeks, being I don't know. I would say Houston being the weakest team in the first 7 weeks. And I don't know how the Jets are going to play out, but I would imagine that they come out pretty strong. So Houston being the weakest, I've got you winning all. I think I've got you.
I said the only game they could possibly win is the Houston game.
I think the Pats will be 5-2 quite easily through week 7. It's just my view.
All right.
Could even be 6-1 depending on what Saints team we see.
Yeah, I can see.
I mean, yeah, Nick, I think Houston is probably their weakest opponent through the first 7 weeks.
Yeah, well, they're the weakest opponent in the entire league. So I looked at Houston's schedule. I couldn't see 1, maybe 2 wins.
Who is their quarterback?
Nobody
knows. We were just saying that, John, before you popped in. Does anyone actually have an update on what's going on with Deshaun Watson? Because I haven't. Well, it's all gone kind of quiet on that front.
Yeah, that's quite strange. Currently, a minute in time is Tyrod Taylor. That minute should be starting.
Did they give Davis Mills a go?
Well, they drafted him.
Yeah, why not?
It's a dumpster fire, I guess. What do you have to lose? No one's going to judge you at this point.
No, but as usual, in situations like that, if they do stink the place up, the coach's head's going to roll, and it's not his fault, unless he is a yes man and they keep him just for that reason, because he probably thinks, I'm going to take the job. I want to be a head coach in the NFL, but what the fuck have I got myself into on this?
Oh yeah, that's right. They got a new coach. That's right, Nick.
And
That no one really knew anything about.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of, I feel sorry for the guy. I really do, because he had no draft picks to speak of. You know, he's come out and said, he's our QB, he's not going anywhere. And then all this other crap, which could have been started by Houston, because nobody actually knows where all these rumors and everything started, could have been started because he wanted to go away. And he's part of that because he's the head coach, even though it probably had nothing to do with it and it was the ownership. But he's still going to get linked with it all. It's kind of one of those jobs where you just think, I really want to be a head coach. And you only got to look at the guy that was in Cleveland, Freddie Kitchens.
Freddie Kitchens.
What a fuck up that was. And this could be exactly the same, but different, because it's not the poor bastard's fault. He's walked into all this. I mean, can you think? They say to you, right, we got this, we got that, and when they were talking to him, maybe they still had D-Hop, and they had Watson playing, and they had Fuller there, and they had this, and they had that, and and JJ Watt, and blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden they've all gone, and you're left with nothing, and you're like, shit. Mm-hmm. This is my big chance, and look what those fuckers have done to me. Of putting obviously Watson aside, they fucked everyone off out of it, and you're left with nothing. And now he's got to somehow build a team and a winning culture where, kind of like Detroit, the ownership doesn't give a shit about Detroit. They don't. They don't care. They've got Jared Goff as a QB. The Ford family have done nothing for Detroit for years and years and years, because
that's the truth. They don't. I mean, honest to God, they're fully invested into the Ford building, and I mean, holy smokes, man! You want to talk about a city, Nick, that's turned its back on the people? I mean, between the corruption in the last 25 years. Detroit was a fucking cesspool at one point. I think they've turned it around to an extent, but I don't know that they're looking to, I don't know. Are we talking about Houston right now? Or are we talking about Detroit?
Well, we've moved nicely onto the Thanksgiving games, which I see has been one of the comments. So
Carly has just bring it up here. Nick, what are the Thanksgiving games this season? I know I'm forced to watch the damn Cowboys and Lions for yet another season.
Yeah, it's Bears, Lions, Raiders, Cowboys, and Bills, Saints are the 3 Thanksgiving games this year. I can't believe we've got to watch the Raiders.
By the second game, I will probably be about 10 cans in and will have had enough by about 9:45, so I couldn't give a shit what the third game is. How do
you give them? How do they get a holiday game, though? I just don't understand it.
It's been tradition, hasn't it? The Cowboys and Lions, I think, have played on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, always.
Forever. I don't know why, but they always have done.
I think they were the 2 teams that started it off, or the Lions started it off, and then the Cowboys joined them pretty soon afterwards.
I also think that's where the America's team bullshit for Dallas comes from, because they always play on Thanksgiving. And I'm not American, but
you know the America's team label.
They're not the America's team. They are.
Here you go, Nick. The America's team label was actually offered to the Steelers, but we turned it down. So there you go.
Because I don't know what that says about the Steve. What's worse than because they're both shit, Steelers and Cowboys. That's weird. I mean, I don't get this America's team crap.
No, it's nonsense.
And I hate Jerry Jones.
Does anyone who's not a Cowboys fan like him, though? Let's be honest.
I mean, I don't know if any of you saw the boxing last week.
I think they do. I think they probably do. He's
a businessman, but he's a very, very, very good businessman.
Yeah, he is.
But
I don't know. He meddles too much. He meddles too much.
if he takes his nose out of the franchise and lets Stephen Jones and let Mike McCarthy actually do what they're supposed to do, that team may actually be fucking half. I can't say half decent because that would be really disrespectful. But they'll be in.
I have a saying, right? He has got a face you just want to punch. Jerry Jones, I'm talking about.
He does. But he has. Listen, Nick. I mean, the guy. He put it all on the line.
The house that Jerry
the way he built,
and the Jones Mahal, and
yes.
I get all that. I get all that.
The fucking history behind the guy. The guy was not afraid to build. I mean, he put it all on the line, man. I mean,
did you see that Cowboy schedule release video with Post Malone? Oh
no,
I cringed my way through that.
I just think that Jerry's history, the story behind Jerry Jones, is pretty interesting. I mean, to say the least, I can't stand the goddamn Cowboys, and not much far. I mean, I can't stand him either, to be honest. But his story is it's interesting.
Quick question, John. You're not in your living room, are you? Because you look at you in a different setting, or have you got a green screen?
I was going to say, you've got a green screen, haven't you?
I set it up, man. I set it up. It was too dark.
Okay.
It was too dark, fellas. It was too dark.
I was going to say, I can't see the football results on the TV BR, or the soccer, sorry, on the TV BR.
No, it was too dark in here, man. But
there we go. I mean, I've got a green screen, but I couldn't afford to light it because I haven't got the lights. I've got to buy them at the end of the month.
Have you not ordered the lights? I sent you the link.
No, I haven't got the money. I'm poor. That's going to be the end of the month. I had some more DJ equipment I had to buy before I pissed about with lights.
I bought a brand new pair of Vans that cost me 60 quid. All right, so that's my monthly intake.
Oh, and I also bought a new 49ers cap, which I've left in my van because I forgot about it, and that was 30 quid. See, so
was that the draft one?
Or? No. It's a really cool red one. It's a nice one. It's a 75th anniversary one, which for some reason was £45 normally on Fanatics, and they reduced it to. They had a flash sale, and I got it including postage from America for under 30 quid. So
they've shipped that shit over there, right? I mean, Fanatics doesn't have a UK.
They have a Europe one, but this was actually from. It was from Fanatics America. It wasn't actually from the Europe one because they didn't have it on the Europe one. And I saw it on Facebook, and I thought, oh, I wonder where that. And I did, and I clicked on it, and it actually came from America, which was quite scary. So I don't know how they can do those sorts of things.
What's the shipping typically?
It's quite a lot. I think jerseys are something like $30 normally, and I think this was $7 or $8 to ship it, so they must have lost money on it. So, because I was going to get the draft one, and the draft one, I didn't like it because I don't like the Big Trouble from Little China trucker hats, as I call them.
There's some great sneakers that the UK has that the US hasn't released yet, and I can't seem to be able to get them to ship them here because they don't have US shipping. So it really pisses me off, to be honest with you.
Send me a DM, John, and let me know what it is, and I'll get some prices to see how much it would be to ship. And then maybe
I'll send you the cash. Yeah, I'll help you out, man. And you help me out, and I'll take care of you.
Something like that, but we'll sort that out. Right, now we've got the most important schedule, obviously. Super Bowl bound 49ers.
Oh, we're looking at the Seahawks.
We're going to get their fucking arses kicked this year is what's going to happen.
Yeah, I removed him. There you go.
I don't know, man. Nick, they bulked up, man. They bulked up. They did. The defense in Seattle is not it's not something to be passive about. They've bulked up.
So, John, what do you think? Two things. What do you think about the draft for the Niners and losses on that schedule or schedule? Sorry, Freddie, schedule. Do you think
Draft, I think we did great. I have no regrets. I think it was fantastic. I'm excited to see Aaron Banks show out. You know, I know we didn't have the sexy picks that everybody had hoped for, but I think we'll be grateful when the battle's won in the trenches. I think we'll be grateful. I think those picks will show out. I'm looking forward to Trey Sermon. I'm looking forward to all of it. Hufanga, undrafted free agent. Was it Watkins or Mitchell? No, Mitchell, I believe it was. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I gotta go back and look it up. You told me you want me to look for losses on the schedule?
Yeah, or you can do an overall and then tell us what losses you think.
I think weeks 9, 10, and 13, Nick, are going to be a struggle. Week 12 versus the Vikings, I'm like 50-50. I really don't know what to think of it. I don't know. But I think that week 9, 10, and 13, they're a little bit of a oh, well, you know, we got week 7 too, right after the bye for the Colts. I think we beat Arizona week 5, but I think they beat us week 9. The Rams, I'm scared shitless of Stafford with the Rams offense. I'm not going to lie to you. Matt Stafford he's predicted to have the best season of his career as a Ram. And that's dangerous, especially with McVay. Stafford scares me, man. I think ultimately, Nick, if we're going to be honest, Kyler Murray with an additional weapon, the defense. I think the Cardinals and the Rams scare me the most. But I think we can beat the Cardinals week 5. I think they get redemption and they beat us week 9. Outside of that, I'm pretty confident in the schedule. It's honestly, if you want to talk about create, you want to create your own destiny or whatever the hell they say, bro, this is the schedule to do it.
I think I saw on PFF it's the second easiest schedule because obviously they finished 4th in the division this year. So they do play a lot of 4th place teams. I think we split with the Cardinals and the Seahawks. I'm not worried about the Rams because if the pass rush stays healthy, stays fit with that rotation, and if Sherman comes back, I'm not fussed either way if he does or he doesn't. I think we get enough time to get coverage sacks on Matt Stafford because he's not mobile. Yes, he can move around the pocket. I get that. But our front 7 and our especially our line, both are coming back if he regains it. I can't see. Yeah, don't get me wrong. He's a great quarterback, and we've all seen what he's done with some really shitty Lions teams. But at the end of the day, I think all Niner fans know that Shanahan has got McVay's number. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it happens, whether he's got a voodoo doll in his office and he stabs it every time we play him. Aaron Donald is a non-factor. He hasn't been a factor, I don't think, in any 49ers Rams game for quite a while. Obviously, we've got Sermon in running back. Mostert, I don't know how long he's going to last. I think he's going to be a rotational player. The good thing about the backfield this year, I do think it is going to be rotational. We've got rid of the deadwood in the running backs as well. The game I worry most about if I'm honest, and I'm not saying we're only going to lose one game, is I think, in fact, 2 games. I think Minnesota, because we don't know who's going to be at QB, and guarantee if it's Kyle's love child, he's always going to want to put one over on him. And yes, we've had their number recently, but sometimes that luck's got to break. Tennessee and Derrick Henry scare me. Tannehill's a good player. Their defense isn't great, but it's going to be late in the season. You're going to have him running at full speed. Short week. That's the 2 that kind of worry me. Seattle, we're always going to split with them. I don't know which one we win or lose, whether it's the home or the away game. Again, with fan, we were talking about this earlier. Fans make all the difference, and we know that, and we know what the 12s are like, and we've seen that in that building. And I'm not just talking about the Niners. I'm talking about any team going in there. It is a hostile environment, and they do make a difference.
Without a doubt.
I'd say the first 6 weeks we could easily win all those games up to the bye. Easily win them all. Now, again, I'm with you with Arizona. I don't know. I don't know whether we are splitting, I think, with them, and I'm not sure whether it's the home or the away we lose.
Well, I mean, I think at Arizona, Nick, I think we beat them at home. It's familiar territory now for us. We spent the majority of the season, the second leg of it anyway, there. I think it's familiar territory. I don't know. I mean, don't take it for gospel, but I think it's familiar. But I just feel like that 9, 10, week 9, 10, 12, and 13, depending on where we are healthy, as far as health, I'm sorry, those are my concerns. You know what I mean? That portion of the schedule. The bye is a little early for my liking, and some say they like that early bye. I like a later bye, but that's just me. But I agree with you. I think the first 5 weeks, Nick, are W's, bro. I think we get the dub there for sure. However, coming back from the bye, that Colts game, they're getting a little bit better at every turn. They're building a squad over there in Indianapolis. Whether or not Carson Wentz can lead them to a victory or not, that's entirely that's new. The Bears. I think a Matt Nagy led Bears team. I think their biggest downfall is that Nagy sucks as a coach.
I think his arse is getting a lot warmer.
Oh, for sure, man, for sure. I think, and I know quite a few Bears fans that are going to agree with that.
Both him and Ryan Pace are on the block this year, without a doubt.
For sure, Pace should have been out of there 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But Ryan Pace has just given himself that extra bit more, another extra season now, because obviously trading up to go and get Justin Fields. If this spectacularly blows up in his face, and then he has to go.
Gone. Yeah.
So basically, he's just pushed all the chips all in on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't have anybody to catch the ball. They've got Robinson and they just eye him up. It's like, the only 2 that I know can make it work is Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers. You just know that he's going to throw it to him, and he catches it every goddamn time. Robinson, you gave him Trubisky, you gave him Nick Foles, and they still couldn't get it. So I don't know, man. I think Chicago has a habit of wearing down their athletes, man. They run them into the ground.
They are going to be another sneaky team to watch, just from a Justin Fields perspective. They obviously, over here we talk 6 p.m. games, which is 1 p.m. or 10 a.m., whatever it is, or 1 p.m. games over in the States. And they tend to get a lot of early games. So
I'm interested to see what Fields can do, whether he stinks the place up or whether he saves Nagy and Ryan Pace's job. It would be interesting, but I think maybe it may be too much pressure on him. Who knows? You know, the big thing about him in college was, and I heard it on a lot of other shows, he's never faced any adversity, and it'll be interesting if he has to face adversity because he never did it in college. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
He's a leader, to say the least, Nick. He's a leader, man. Yeah. He really is a leader. And Miss Peachy can vouch for that. The dude he's an athlete, and I think that the Bears did what they needed to do to salvage either their, the bulk of their roster. They had a defense. They had a defense, and we can all agree the last few years. I think Fuller was the guy they lost, if I'm not mistaken. Where did he go? Does anybody remember? Kyle Fuller. Did he go to Minnesota?
Kyle Fuller. No, it's Denver, didn't he? Did he go to
Denver? Denver. Okay, Denver. They led the league in takeaways a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken. It wasn't too long ago. They were picking the ball off. You talk about ball hawks. They had a secondary to do it. They were forcing fumbles.
And who was the defensive coordinator?
Oh, Fangio?
Yep.
Fangio.
It was Vic Fangio for sure.
Yep. Which is why
you're damn right, Freddie.
Fuller's gone over to Denver.
Yep, you're damn right. There you go. That's the way to do it. You put those pieces together, Freddie. I've always loved Vic Fangio. Nick, come on, brother. You know damn well we were successful. The defense was nasty.
We were definitely good under Fangio.
At one point, I said, if you put Salah and Fangio, who do you think was the best coordinator if you swapped that roster? I think arguably Fangio I think Fangio is the better of the two. And it's not even close.
The thing on Salah is that a lot of his plays and stuff, obviously, or the way he coaches, he is very motivational and he brings the best out in players, where Fangio was more like the silent assassin type. And he's not a rah-rah guy. And I think that, again, is why sometimes he comes across as being obviously over in Denver. He doesn't care, but he does. But he just doesn't jump up and down and go nuts on the sideline.
No, I get it. I think his age.
So they're different. They're different coaches, and I think Fangio is, as I said, he's the silent assassin. Where, Christ, my mind's gone blank. Robert Saleh is more of a rah-rah guy, and that's how he comes across. And I'm very interested to see how he does as the Jets head coach, because I think he will bring a great dynamic to that team that they haven't had for probably since Rex Ryan was there. And I know Rex Ryan didn't have the pieces now that obviously they're building over in New York, but they're the same kind of infectious people. And I can't, his teams are really bad to watch, but I like Rex Ryan. I like his brother. I loved his dad when he was obviously on the 85 Bears. And there's just a thing about those sorts of people, and it rubs off. Oh, yeah. Whereas behind the scenes, Fangio is he could be doing all that rah-rah shit behind the scenes and we don't see it. And he comes out in this steely way, So it's weird. It's weird.
Well, going back to this Niners schedule, I think really the only real challenges are in division. I mean, from a Steelers point of view, I look at the schedule and think, can we have something like this, please? Because it's lovely.
You had it last year and you still fucked it. So
we did, but we did still. No, you say that, but we did still win the division. So it's not like it was a complete disaster. But anyway, moving back to the Niners very briefly before you start slagging off the mighty Steelers again. I other than in division games, there's a couple that stick out. I think the Tennessee game, as you've mentioned, is a tricky one. I actually think there's one bogey game in there that I think you might drop, and that is Cincinnati in week 14. That are controversial, but I know, as Carl said himself, that the Pats like to lose the odd bogey game. The Steelers always lose a bogey game. That's
so when I say lose a bogey,
got.
but I say when we lose a bogey game, we lose to a mediocre sort of 9-8 win team type of team that we lose to. We don't lose to a team called the fucking Bungles.
Chuck the Bengals in the AFC. Chuck the Bengals in any other division other than the AFC North or the NFC West, and they will easily win 8 or 9 games. But they're in such difficult division that they'll be underestimated. They've got talent, particularly offensively, that I do see that as a bit of a bogey loss. Yeah, you can come out and criticize me, whatever. We shall see come December the 12th whether I'll be right.
I would never criticize you, except what are you drinking at the moment? Because quite clearly you've drunk far too much. And John, can you remind my young
hang on.
What was the score last time we played Bungles?
Hang on. Before you criticize me, who was the only person on your panel pre-draft who said the Niners were going to pick Trey Lance?
Wayne Breezy,
that was Freddie.
But you did say
yes.
No,
we shall see. As I say, before you slag me off again, I think the Niners will easily win 12-13 games this year.
What was the score the last time we played Cincinnati? And they've lost a couple of players and gained a quarterback. They still don't have an offensive line. And when you played Cincinnati 2 years ago, that team is drastically different to the team that they'll have out this year. Drastically different. I'll tell you now. Are you old enough to drink? By the way, Freddie?
Yeah, I'm 20. I'm 23. I'm not that young.
There you go. That was the last result against the Bungles.
That was 2 years ago with a completely different
Super
team.
Bowl when Joe Montana and Jerry Rice and John Taylor went to work, and that was 55-10. But either way, if in week 14 the Bungles beat the 49ers, I will send you a nice bottle of wine. Sip on. I'm on the show.
Cheers.
And glad.
All right.
It ain't happening. So don't get your wine glasses out because it's not happening.
Every team has one bad result. That's the one I've got you losing. But as I say,
being which against someone like the Jags or
the Bengals are a lot better than the Jags. Come on.
They've got Jesus. They've got Jesus
Freddie,
now.
Which one?
I think Cincinnati will be your bogey loss.
I mean, listen, offensively, they've got weapons, dude. But I mean, defensively, we're going to run them. We're going to run the ball down their throat.
But you've just come off a massive game in Seattle. And then you look at Cincinnati and think, oh, that'll be easy. We'll come in and crash that. Not necessarily. But they're going to come.
They're going to be back here in the Youngstown area in Ohio. They're going to be licking their wounds, bro. Back here in my neck of the woods, just 10 minutes from my house, where I will get arrested trying to get autographs again.
We'll see. I could be very wrong, but
or look at it this way, Freddie. We could be coming off of just a high because we are winning out and we just look phenomenal, and we're just driving the ball down their throats week after week, right?
Yeah.
Because we've got a stable of running backs and we are going to run the ball better than we ever have. I mean, I'm convinced that we run the ball better than we ever have, man. If you thought 2019 was awesome, I think this year we will lead the league in rushing yards, and we will have multiple backs breaking some records. We're going to look dope. I'm pumped.
Yeah, I agree. I must admit, I look at your schedule and think, well, I can see 12-13 wins in there easily. So the big test will be the divisional games.
But make no mistake, you're not wrong. I mean, we always struggle after a Seattle. Those are cardiac games for everyone. I mean, I usually can't feel my fucking legs. Okay, so I lose. I think those games take years off the back end of my life. I swear to God.
It's a classic Steelers thing. We have a big game the week before, prime time. We end up win or lose, and the next week we'll have a rubbish team like the Raiders. We very rarely win it. So I've seen it so many times that I know the Niners aren't the Steelers. The Niners are quite considerably better.
Dynamic,
this year.
and they've got 2 decent quarterbacks, unlike Pittsburgh, who've got a statue.
Oh, come on!
And a geezer that likes going to strip.
No. Big Ben is 100 times better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Don't you dare go
there. Listen.
Don't go
now,
that
Freddie, whatever. Put the Kool-Aid down, brother.
No. You cannot say that Jimmy G is a better quarterback than Big Ben.
Listen, there was listen, Ben's had his he was phenomenal. But now I would say they're about the same, dude. I mean, listen, with a good offensive line, Jimmy has proven to do well. All right. But Big Ben, man, I mean, he throws some fucking turds. Let's be honest. He makes some piss poor decisions too. Now, your offensive coordinator, what the hell was his name?
Randy Fichtner. Yeah.
Yes. Garbage. I told you that a while ago. Guy was garbage.
And you have Shanahan. Come on. I mean,
yes. So I think Ben's got the arm over Jimmy, like the deep ball. But how many times can Ben throw the ball before he's fucked? I mean, they wore him out, dude.
Well, they had to throw over 50 times a game. That's hardly his fault. But
at this point in his career, I don't think his game is any better than Jimmy's. A healthy Jimmy.
I mean,
at this point,
I don't agree.
I'll give him the edge up because he can throw the deep ball.
Oh well, we shall see this season, won't we? I don't agree, but I don't want to argue with John because John is much nicer than the other 2 people on the panel. So,
that's fucking John.
Listen, at the end of the day, I see Ben hanging in there, trying to lead the team to a Super Bowl. I mean, I know he wants it, but he's just his durability. The guy after 12 games is mashed potatoes, applesauce. Let's be honest. I mean, unless for whatever reason they get creative and they can do something with that offense. They couldn't run the ball.
If the run game works,
to save their soul.
Yeah. This year, however, we've drafted our running back. We've completely revamped the offensive line. Whatever, we don't know what it's going to look like. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I don't think it'll be great, but I think it will be better than last year. And we've brought in a run blocking tight end in Pat Frymouth as well. So I think the run game should be improved, which should hopefully mean that Ben isn't going to have to throw 40, 50 times a game. So we shall see this season. I don't think Ben will be quite as worn out this year just because he won't have to throw the ball as much. Touch wood.
Well, your offensive line was ranked 17th in the NFL last year. It was ranked first in pass protection, but ranked second worst in run blocking.
Well, it was only ranked that high in pass blocking because Ben was getting the ball out in 2.3 seconds. So,
well, he wasn't running the ball
that was
either.
The only reason why he wasn't dropping back, was he?
No,
the guy's lurch. He can't run the damn ball. Even if he wanted to scramble, Nick, it's the ugliest thing you've ever seen. At this point,
in week 1
against younger,
Ben makes me look like an athlete. That's how bad he is. And both of
when he was younger, man, he was a beast. Ben's no joke, man. He was an awesome quarterback early in his career. He's still good. I mean, I don't want Freddie. Don't take me wrong, man. I'm not trying to talk your quarterback into the ground. The dude led 12 victories last year.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that they broke him down because they couldn't run the ball. That was their downside.
Ben had 33 touchdowns and only 10 picks last year. It's not like he had a terrible season. It's just because people remember what happened at the back end.
Trouble was he had 6,522,872 pass attempts.
and still only 10 picks, which is still a lot better than it has been in previous years. So
Yeah, I think my comparison to Jimmy was a little premature because I'm judging it based on the back end of his season was booty after it all started to break down. I mean, he's got the edge on Jim, but at this point in his career, Jimmy's still with a good line. I mean, I believe Shanahan can scheme him out.
I mean, to be honest, I think this argument's pretty pointless because it's two different quarterbacks in two completely different schemes.
Agreed.
I mean, the Niners scheme is far more innovative than whatever Randy Fichtner was coming up with last year. So
Right.
It'd be
Fichtner
interesting to
was-
see what we do now. We've got an actual offensive coordinator who might know what he's doing.
Randy was calling plays from the 88 playbook.
As recent as that. Oh, dear. Yeah.
Right,
But we
now-
shall see.
Moving on. Carl, have you gone and got your Randy Moss shirt?
No, I haven't. I will go grab it.
Right, okay, I'm calling you out now. I specifically said, did I not, sporting memorabilia of any kind, I'd like you to show and tell something on the show. Carl said to me before we came on the air, I haven't got any. I said, what? You've got nothing? He said, no, I do not own any sporting memorabilia apart from a Randy Moss shirt, which he bought and paid for, so it still counts loosely
Yeah.
as sporting memorabilia.
I always thought the term memorabilia is when you've either where you've got it somewhere from an auction and it's actually signed by the player, not like a photocopy signature. That's why I look at memorabilia.
No, that's not.
So-
no, photocopy signatures don't count as autographs
Right.
because they're not original. And I've bought a couple of items. One, I'm very well. In fact, I'm proud of both of them. I'll show you the first one, and I always talk about it. And I actually managed to dig it out. It was Frank Gore's birthday yesterday, I believe, or the day before. Number 21, all-time leading rusher of the 49ers. When the Jags, I don't know if you can see, which side is it on? Oh, no, it's there. See, it says the Jaguars. I don't even see that. But that is the touchdown ball. The last time the 49ers played the Jags at Wembley, and Frank Gore, and he's pumping up as well. It's terrible. That is the first touchdown ball at Wembley. 49ers Jags. Frank Gore, happy birthday. Pete and I were in the stands that day. The ball came in the stands. We were both drunk, and I must have leapt about 10 foot in the air, which I don't think I've ever done. I'm ever likely to ever again. Caught the ball, and I'm very, very, very proud of that. I should put it in a case, really. In fact, you won't see it, but there is still some mud, some Wembley turf on the ball right there. So that's my proudest thing. I do have a couple of actual proper autographs. I've got 3 or 4 Joe Montanas, which again I should frame and put up, but they're upstairs. I've got a signed picture of Vernon Davis, the catch 3, and I get bought quite a lot of stuff for Christmas, which I'm lucky about because everyone knows I'm Niner mad. I mean, that flag was a Christmas present. I've got all sorts of Niner stuff, but this year I was very, very lucky, and apparently this is quite rare. I don't know how rare. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a pewter Sports Illustrated collection, Joe Montana. If you can see that, you probably can. But it's got authentication. It's got his career. I haven't taken it out of the box, and I won't. But they take pride of place along with my game ball. And as I say, every Christmas, I know something 49ers is always. Santa is very, very good to me because he always brings me something
That's good, brother.
49er related, and it's always something quite rare. I mean, I've got, I don't know if you've seen it, when we put our Christmas tree up, I've got a Joe Montana figure, Christmas tree figure, which again, very, very rare. I've never seen one. I've never seen, and bearing in mind of all the faithful that follow me and I follow them, etc. On my other account, Win Niners, I've never ever seen one. And it's a shame that it only comes out once a year, but it always takes pride of place on my Christmas tree. So I want to get
For
some
me,
more stuff, and I see all these
I have
signed
a-
helmets and gloves, but I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a waste of money. Don't get me wrong, but there's because I'm not a collector or anything like that. It kind of seems a waste of. And I don't know how you feel, John and Freddie, for your own team and you, Carl. Some things are an investment. Other things I don't get collecting all these signed helmets and things like that. Fair play if that's your bag, fair enough. But to me, the era that I grew up loving this team was obviously Montana, Rice, Craig, and I've got a signed Roger Craig hat, which he signed, funnily enough, at that Frank Gore game, and I've got Gold Rush cheerleader pitch and all that sort of thing. But they just stay put away. I don't have them on display or anything like that. But is it a waste of money, all this memorability? Unless it's such a unique thing, like I'd love a signed, proper framed The Catch picture. I would probably waste money on that, but I wouldn't. I'm not a big fan of memorabilia, if I'm honest.
For
what do
me,
you
Nick,
think?
it's. Let me be honest. There have been stores that come into the shopping mall here where I live, and the stores don't stick around long enough. And I don't know if it's because of the market, or if in fact the authenticity is bullshit. Because at times they'll have a Niners helmet that's signed by Joe Montana. So I will look up authenticated signatures for Joe Montana or Jerry Rice. Okay. And they don't look the same on the object here at this store. They don't look the same. So they're selling the jersey in this great big frame, and I want to buy it so bad. And this store has stuck around now for a couple of years, but they want about $800. And I just don't know that I want to give you $800 for something that may not be truly authentic. You know what I mean? Because then when you go online and you look at the things that truly are, they're like 12, 13, $1,400, you know. I love my Niners more than anything, but there are other things that I can provide for my home, my family, that $1,500, $1,200, you know. I'm just not, I just don't want to do it. Not when they come to the Youngstown area and I could act like a fucking banshee and try to get something I paid for $50 autographed, you know, and mean more to me because they're here in town and I could just try to get it signed if I try, you know. So most of my stuff, Nick, is gifts from the family or things that I collected as a kid, like my trading cards and plaques that the kids got me of Jimmy and Joe. You know, those things those are the things that mean the most to me. You know, I want to buy an autograph helmet and I want to buy a signed Joe Montana jersey, but it's got to be it's got to be authentic, like legit, not some bullshit from the store over here that couldn't be credible any more than a fucking tree bark. You know what I mean? So for me, I've been collecting Joe Montana
what
cards
you
since I was
say
a kid.
about signatures being different, because I've got 2 Joe Montana signatures. One I know is 100% authentic because there's a radio station in the UK called Talk Sport, and they used to have a guy who used to do the news they call him the Moose, and I'm quite friendly with him. And Joe Montana and I think some cheerleaders come over, and he got Joe Montana to sign a piece of TalkSport paper with my name on it and took a picture of him, Joe Montana, and him signing it. So I know that's legit. The other one that I brought is slightly different, and it's kind of, how many signatures did he sign before he got to the one that I brought? He may have signed 100, and by the time he's got to that 100th one or the 101st, he's pissed off because he keeps signing these bits of paper and it doesn't look the same. So you never know. But the one I know 100% legit is the TalkSport one. So I'm happy that I've got one legit signature. But I'm with you. Some of this memorabilia is ridiculous amounts of money.
Because what's stopping a guy from taking something that was $100 jersey, or let's say, what's stopping the guy that owns the store from taking a permanent marker and increasing the value of something that was $100 to $1,000? You understand what I'm saying? Like, these stores don't stick around long enough for me to believe that they're worth the shit. You know, it's all bulk NFL gear. It's authentic gear. It is licensed. It's officially licensed. But the stuff that matters to me, like these badass framed pictures of Levi's, that's what I want. I want a really nice. I don't need a goddamn signature to sleep good at night. You know what I'm saying? If I come across one, it's going to be the greatest thing ever. But I'm not paying $1,000 for it. I want something like a nice sky view, a legit sky view picture of Candlestick. You know what I mean? Or Levi's, something like that. Like I like that. That shit that matters to me. Like when they were selling, you can get on eBay, Nick. You can get a seat from Candlestick. I don't know whose ass was in it from a Giants game to a Candlestick game, but fuck it, you know, for $250, give me a fucking stadium seat. I'll stick it somewhere, or put it somewhere. You know what I mean? Like that's, you could buy parts of you could buy the turf at one time. They were like auctioning off turf, you know, and people were taking that turf and they were taking it into their backyard and they would put it in the ground there and they would like put a pennant and some shit around it, you know. And my luck, my dog shits on it, kills it, it's over and done with. You know what
exactly. I mean? Your dog goes and takes a leak on it, and a week later it's dead, and it's just nothing. Garbage. Then.
Yeah, and then Ohio sucks. The weather is, you know, it's 70 today. It'll be -12 tomorrow, and 30 feet of snow, and it'll just wash away in a flood of fucking rain that we've had for 24 hours. So turf for me just doesn't work. Doors,
and it would grow like that, and then you've got to cut it anyway. So then,
right?
Do you then? So you could then plant that into another planter, grow that, and then in the end, you could have your whole backyard.
I guess you're right. I mean, I could have, you know, but then again, you know, the fuck am I going to do with grass? You know what I mean? I'd rather have something more.
But I'm with you on the seat or a sign or something like that.
Yeah,
that again would be something really.
Like, I would really like to get something from Candlestick, something that was there, you know, a piece of furniture. I don't give a damn, something, you know what I mean? Like they auction off season ticket holders from back in the day, their seats. Like that's pretty sweet, you know? That's pretty sweet. But the shit that I have,
on the last game at the pick of the stick, I'd have ripped my fucking seat out at the end of the game and not paid for it anyway. But that's just me.
Here, I'll show you guys something. Hold on a minute.
Freddie, have you got any memorabilia to bring to the table? You must have. And I'm not
really
talking about your family coat of arms.
Not. Yeah, I've got that everywhere. Obviously, not really. Got a couple of side cards, but nothing exciting. I think my view is that I don't really want to splash out on memorabilia. I'd rather, because I've never been out to the States, I'd rather save up and have a trip out to watch the Steelers in the States than really collect any memorabilia at any vast expense. So, and of course, I'll try. I don't know about you two, but I'm planning to try and get to at least one of the London games this year. So,
yeah, we're going to get onto that in a minute, and don't even start me on that yet.
All right.
I know a lot of, especially some of the guys that have come on here before, like Nick and Breezy, Tony, when they go out to the home opener in San Francisco, they go and lurk around the team hotel.
Yeah.
And they get their flags and things like that signed. See, so that's what I would do.
Yeah, and that would be my plan.
I obviously last year was planning to go out there. and couldn't. This year, I'm not even going to chance it. Even if they go on the green list, I'm not going to even bother with foreign travel. I mean, I got my second jab just over a month's time, and even if I am fully inoculated, I just wouldn't take a chance this year. But next year, different story, as you say. I might take that flag or get a new flag, and I'm going to, and because they know where all the players hang out, so that's going to be my plan, to get as many signatures on a flag when I go out there as I can, because I'm never going to sell it. It's going to stay with me, and to me, I'll look at that like you said. But if you go out to Heinz Field and you bump into Coach Tomlin and he signs something for you, my only piece of paper. But you're the one that collected it, and to you,
that means more to me than just anything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You think, I got that. I met him, and he had his picture taken with me, etc., etc., etc. So to me, that's because it's personal. Is better than, as you say, buying all this stuff. And I've got nothing against all these, and I see loads of people collect all this stuff. I'm kind of lucky that, when some of the Nothing But Niners crew have been to games, they've sent me back the game day magazines, which are pretty boring. Yeah. But I've got like the not Pittsburgh. Have I got a Pittsburgh? Yeah, I think I got a Pittsburgh one, and I got a playoff one from when we went to the Super Bowl. And they're generic magazines, but I know that was in the stadium. Like John was saying about the seat and whatever from Candlestick, I know that booklet was in the game, and it got sent to me, and the ticket stuff and things like that. So to me, that means more to me, because I know it was there, than something that was signed, sat in front on a desk. Where, do you see what I mean? It's a weird one. But yeah, I mean, I haven't got space for signed jerseys and things. But I think, again, if I went there and got a jersey signed by that player, and again, how many jerseys have you got to take on a trip or buy and hope you run into that player? You know, it's like, shit, I want a signed jersey of Ben Roethlisberger, but what are the chances of you being able to be in the right place at the right time?
So I saved every dime. I saved every dime as a kid when I was probably 8 years old. Every bit of money I had, man, gift money, whatever. And every time there would be a trading card expo at a mall or a whatever, I would beg my mother to take me and just wait in the parking lot for me to go in among strangers. I'm going to go table to table, and I'm going to buy every Joe Montana card that I could possibly find, right? So from age about 8 years old to probably 12, 13, before I started to get older and trading cards weren't that important, I came up with a stack in probably 6 months, 4 shows. I collected this stack of Joe Montanas. I bought them from ranges of $2 to $8 to $12 a card, right? The one card that mattered the most to me, that really did it for me, was this card, because it was like, it had a texture to it. Back in the day, they were called action-packed cards, right? They were the cat's ass to kids my age. They had the rounded corners. They were just the best. So a kid at school had a Warren Moon card like this, and he brought it to school. And I did not have an action-packed card yet, but I was bound and fucking determined to find this card. Now, I had no catalogs back then, but a book called Beckett, and Beckett was black and white. It didn't tell you shit. So there was no Google. There was no internet. I didn't even know if an action-packed card existed yet, right? I had no idea. So I went to these shows for a year, Nick. I begged my mom to get me there till I rated every box. If you've ever been to a trading card expo, there are just boxes and boxes of cards that collectors just had. And they had random shit in little boxes and little cases and this and that. But this particular card, I had no idea if one existed, but I was bound and determined to find a Joe Montana action-packed textured trading card. It wasn't until like my second to last show, it was probably the fourth show. It was like 1994, 93, somewhere in there. I found this fucking card. I asked the guy how much for this card. He told me then it was like $11. I gave him $11, Nick. This was my proudest possession for probably out of every trading card. This was my favorite just because it was textured. All the kids that were collecting them had randoms, just random players. They didn't even give a fuck who the player was. It didn't even matter to them. Who fucking wanted Warren Moon's card, right? But Joe Montana mattered to me more than anything. So this was the card, brother. This fucking card did it for me, man. And it was the one find that I searched high and low for. So that was it. And then I came across this
Are those
signature
are those
Bosa
quite
card.
rare, John?
They are.
Those
I think so. They're from the early 90s. I don't know what they're worth. I don't give a damn. These cards to me have more value, more meaning. This stack right here means more to me than anything. Only because I saved all of my money just to buy Joe Montana cards as a kid, you know. And there was this Santa collection back in the day. They were Santa cards. Okay. These Santa cards were one for each. So like this was like, I don't know. This was Christmas of 94. Okay. So this was a collection of Santas. So this was the upper deck. This was the upper deck Santa card. Each card manufacturer had a Santa card. This was Proline Classic Santa. Okay. These cards I found individually at different shows. These are all early 90s, right? So in my search for Joe Montana's, I was also trying to search for the collection of Santa cards. And like 1994, this was an Edge card. This was a Christmas card. You know, they just each. And then here, this brings me to my final. This was the action-packed Santa. Pretty fucking sweet, right? So these are the things, Nick, that mean the more to me more than anything, man. You know, because I searched high and low. Gemma, I swear to God, I'm gonna make you a fucking coat.
Sorry, what was that you flashed up?
Oh, you mean my one very nice trading card of the greatest player of all time, Mr. Juju Smith-Schuster.
Juju.
Funny enough, he's not TikToking in that. I wonder why.
I know. It's a rarity.
That's why it's so rare, because he's not doing some dumbass dance.
I have bought it. By the way, I have managed to bring the jersey down. So just to show you, I'm not lying. There you go.
Hey.
Oh, you see?
That you got to get that signed somehow.
I am going to try my hardest to get it signed in the next few years. Obviously, I'm going to have to go over to the States to go find. If I knew you back then, I was in Miami when we were in the Super Bowl, and the dickhead was only about 10 feet from me.
How are you going to upset him, John?
As well, it was also the Reebok style as well, because that was the Reebok, mate. Back then, so it is a legitimate jersey. I actually got this jersey from a festival that I always go to once a year over here in the UK, and they basically had a memorabilia stall there of any sort of retro sport you could think of. So NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, ice hockey, and obviously our old football teams. So like Liverpool, Manchester United, all that sort of caper. So. And I got this. I thought, well, this is going to drown me. And it did drown me. It drowns my missus. She walks. She actually wore this around one evening wearing it. I goes, are you wearing that as a t-shirt or are you wearing that as a nightdress? Because it just absolutely drowns her. So
Funny
yeah.
what you say about jerseys and getting things. Now, everyone knows my favourite all-time player is Dick Butkus. And I managed to get one of his old throwback jerseys, a Mitchell and Ness one. Hardly ever wear it, but I bought it because I just love him as a player. When I went out to Boston, when I worked out there quite a few years ago now, I went to Dick's Sporting Goods, I think, at Logan Airport on the way out. And I always liked Teddy Bruschi, and they had one of his jerseys on offer. So I bought it because I liked it. It was the white colour. Again, I hardly ever wear it. If I wear it, I'll wear it around the house just because I like that player. And I've picked up various things from various teams over the years because of a certain player. Only if you stumble upon it and like a jumble sale, or you see it in a charity shop when you're having a rummage, things like that, you buy it because it's memories. It's I remember that. I remember that, so I do own a Brian Urlacher jersey, another player I admired. They had a jersey in a charity shop, and it was like a $5. So I bought it because it's Brian Urlacher and he's a great player. Those sorts of things. Teams are immaterial. If you admire a player and he's obviously a Hall of Famer, etc., if I see it and it's cheap, I probably won't wear it, but I'll buy it just because I can then only cost me a $5. So it's not as if you're buying $100 jersey, which don't get me started on jersey prices because they are obscene. But
they're
anyway,
stupid. I mean, the latest prices for jerseys is like £80-90. And if you want to get any of the retro ones, like the Teddy Bruschi one, they're around about £120 to £130. It's ridiculously expensive.
I've got
but then what sport? But then
quality.
what sport isn't expensive?
Yeah, I mean, even some of the MLS jerseys that I like, I mean, they're still expensive, man. I mean, like if I wanted to get a soccer jersey, if I wanted, let's say, they're over $100 a jersey, no matter what, unless you get somebody that's done it, retired as a Niner, or your favorite player. That's when the jersey has more significance than someone's going to get traded. You get a Jimmy G jersey, you buy a Patrick Willis jersey. Luckily he retired. But then you get Navarro Bowman. Now that jersey's irrelevant. He became a Raider. And that pissed me off, but I still love him as a Niner, but they just don't have the significance as like a Jerry jersey or a Joe Montana jersey, because those guys, we aren't who we are without them. So naturally, plus, I mean, like you said, Nick, it's just what you like is what you like. I mean, if you like, my card collection means more to me than anything, because it's just something that I busted my ass for. I could get a signed Joe Montana jersey, a signed helmet, but I'm buying that helmet. I didn't get that helmet. I didn't go to a game, and I didn't get lucky enough to get Joe to sign it, or get Joe or Jerry Rice to sign it, or get Joe to sign something. So I bought that. It doesn't mean as much to me as something that, like, I dug for those cards. I dug through thousands of cards to find random Joe Montanas. You know what I mean? They're not worth a fuck. But to me, they were everything, and I did it so young, and I was driven, and I was dedicated to finding them. So to me, I have gotten rid of every trading card that I've ever owned in my entire life, and kept only my Joe Montanas. That's all that I gave a shit about, and that's it. So that's my story on mine.
No, that's cool. That's cool. One more thing to discuss before, or in fact, we've got two more subjects very quickly before we get out of here. First one, Tim Tebow going to Jacksonville as a tight end. Freddie, I mean, come on, let's be serious for a minute.
I really want to see him in London. I really, 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 really want to see him in London. If there's a guy
you're going to see him in London, sir, is if he's doing a tour. doing an open bus tour, and he's
Oh,
the one on the microphone.
I so hope he
This
lasts
is
to
the
week
power
6.
of
But
one.
to be honest, it's quite a good move from the Jags because there's got a load of interest in them in the last couple of weeks, hasn't it? If anything, he's not. I don't think he's going to make the roster, but it's giving them a bit of
Interest and
publicity.
ridicule, definitely.
So yeah, well, they say all publicity is good publicity, whether it's positive or negative. Yeah, I think it's just a bit of a silly story, really, but you never know. I think it's quite it's a bit of fun. So I'd like to see him succeed.
It cheered Pete up no end because, of course, everyone knows his love for the former failed NFL quarterback.
I don't even get why.
Minor in the 5th division minor league of the Mets training program and never saw the field. Failed baseball. Failed at ESPN. I mean,
he did beat us in the playoffs, though.
That's the only other thing as well, of course, because of course Pittsburgh being Pete's team as well, he kind of glosses over that bit. But yeah, he was really happy, and the first thing I said to him was, "There's no way he's making this team. He's there to sell tickets, to bring the new Urban Meyer legend and all that forward into the, because if Jacksonville hadn't have drafted Trevor Lawrence, they had nothing else to talk about, right? There's nothing really good going on to talk about Jacksonville apart from Tebow and or T-Boy, as I call him, Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence. Like I was listening to the Around the NFL podcast, and they were saying he's like 5th or 6th on the tight end depth chart. So
yeah,
he's got to be just a camp body brought in for publicity. He's not going to make it, and trust me, when he does get cut after training camp or during training camp, when they do the cut downs in pre-season, I'll let Pete know. Don't worry, everyone that watches, I will let Pete know how happy I am that yet again Tebow has had his ass kicked out of another town. John, what do you think about T-Boy coming back? Cone collector, water bottle collector, carry the helmets off the field, and that's about it. What do you think?
I mean, Nick, I liked him. He's a likable guy. He's a nice guy. I mean, we can agree that he's a nice guy, no?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Don't get me wrong. He is a stand-up guy, 100%.
The only person here that's going to Freddie's got to feel some kind of way. I mean, he's done nothing to us. Carl, he hasn't. He's done. I mean, in his career, he didn't affect the Patriots in any way. Neither the Niners, right? Nope. But I do have a problem with the way that his character was assassinated based on his religious beliefs, right? So we're not going to get into that, but I believe that he got a raw deal because of what he truly believed in, right? So I feel like the media, they assassinated this guy. Now, him coming back to football, having ties to Urban or whatever the hell it is that, if Tebow can do it. What bothers me is like, so if Tim Tebow comes back to the league and he's somewhat of successful, let's say I don't even know, Nick, he could be all of the above, water boy, sideline manager, whatever. I feel like he's going to bring a little bit of veteran presence to that young core and maybe help Trevor Lawrence somewhat, mentally. Tim is just such a nice guy. He spoke at a seminar, and one of my best friends was there for it. And he said, dude, people that didn't even know Tim Tebow left that seminar, and it was like a motivational seminar. It wasn't anything football related. It was just motivational. He said he was such a phenomenal speaker, man. He left everybody feeling some kind of way, like this guy is such a good guy. Like at the minimum, he's going to bring some compassion to that locker room, man. He's going to, these young guys today, they don't play the game the way the game was played 20 years ago, Nick. 25 years ago. These are young guys that need just be fucking nice. Be fucking nice to people, right? Just be fucking nice. Tim Tebow is going to be nice to everyone. He's going to calm these guys down. He's going to get in their head and help them decompress and see the game as something more than just what it is. He is good at that. He gets in your head, and that's a good thing.
I appreciate what you're saying about that, John, but the point you brought up about young people now compared to young people then,
yes,
you know, there was hardly any social media, there was none of this TikTok, there was whatever they do, you know,
right.
And you see it a lot with soccer players in this country, the young kids. All of a sudden, when they make it and get signed onto a big and now all of the NFL is good money. It's not terrible by any stretch.
No.
Do you? And as and I get what you say about him being a great guy, because I've got no problem with him. Problem him being a stand-up guy, and everyone can see that. But I don't think the youngsters will listen. They'll be like, "The fuck out of here." As good as the intentions are, you know, they're like, they could be like, and I know I took the piss out of him, but like, well, you failed in the minor leagues at baseball. You got lucky for one season, took them to the playoffs, beat the Steelers, and you still got your ass run out the door. Why should I listen to you?
Mm.
He polarizes so many people. And as I say, as a guy, I've got no issues with him, but as a sportsman per se, he has failed, apart from one season where he got lucky, and he could have taken that Denver team on, who knows to what. But Horseface bombed his ass out as soon as he could. And then he went to New England. It was a circus. He went to, the Jets. It was a circus. New England is a circus. And
I mean,
it's all about,
right,
I mean, I don't know. I can't, I don't wish any harm on him, but I just don't, I can't get my head around it. For whatever.
Do you think that, do you have any problem with the comparison with Kaepernick and Tim Tebow that's been going around, the narrative I was gonna bring it up, but I sort of chose not to, because obviously whilst I'm going to. So Kaepernick kneeled, and we all know why Kaepernick kneeled, and he wasn't ridiculed for it. You didn't see any adverts come out. No one took the piss. When Tebow took the knee because of his religious beliefs and gods, everybody was on it, right? You saw everyone. Like, there was that. Do you remember that thing where there was people in the army doing Tebow and this, that, and the other, and it was turned into a joke? Whereas they both have their beliefs, and one is religious and one is racial. Some would say there's no difference between the two, right? But Tebow has got another chance. Kaepernick hasn't. Everyone knows my views on Kaepernick as a player. Everyone knows. And I've been very, very vocal from day one. And by the way, we are a year old today on this channel. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows my views on Kaepernick. I'm not stating them again. And I honestly believe Kaepernick will never play in this league again, because teams don't want that hoopla that's going to go with it. He's not that good. Tebow, I don't know. But they were both, one was ridiculed for his religious beliefs, the other one wasn't. And they were both kneeling and doing the same thing. And I've never understood that. Never understood it. I don't get it.
I mean, look at this.
Religion and race, can't even say it. Racial issues and religious issues are just as important to some as they are to others. And it doesn't matter your colour, your creed. It's the, in my eyes, and this is me personally, although they're two different things, that they believe, or their beliefs are on the same wavelength. Tebow's been out the league, I don't know, 15 years, I don't know how many, 12 years, 10 years, whatever it is. Gets brought back. Kaepernick, forgetting my thoughts on him, cannot get in the league. And to me, is it because of the whole kneeling thing? Is it because the team don't want everything that's going to be associated with that? Is he being blackballed? I mean, I don't know, but I can't get how Tebow keeps getting all of these chances throughout his whole career, but baseball, TV, this, that, and the other, and he's not been any good at any of them. But he's still back in the league. And Kaepernick, no one knows if he was offered deals. He wants to be a starter. No one wants him as a starter, but they might offer him a backup role or a mentor role. But he doesn't want that in his head. From what I understand, I don't know. So they're the same, but they're not the same, John.
You know, here's the thing. Kaepernick was given another opportunity, right? But then he moved the tryout, and he started getting weird, and he thought that the league was conspiring behind him, and they were setting him up, and he was getting kind of crazy. Okay, but he had his shot. But he moved the tryout to a high school field or some bullshit, and he started popping off at the mouth because I loved Cap, even though I knew he had we say that Jimmy is limited. Cap was limited too. Cap had the physical abilities, but he didn't have the IQ, the football IQ to dominate Shanahan's system. Okay, or any system. He just couldn't read the defense. Couldn't get through his progressions. However, he was given a chance. He blew it. He was just yammering about bullshit to the camera, calling out the league, and Cap, just quit while you're ahead, man. Do the tryout and see what happens. But I also look at it this way. What if Cap just doesn't want to play football anymore? And the media keeps rehashing his name. They're like, yo, Kaepernick didn't get a chance, but Tebow did. Kaepernick is like a Nike ambassador. He's doing things he's speaking on behalf of those who can't speak for themselves. Like, he's doing bigger fucking things than football. And I love it. So why the fuck does he keep getting, if Tim Tebow comes back, well, Kaepernick should have come back too. Why the fuck do you people, when did Cap come back and say, I want to come back? He's doing bigger things. And I respect what he's doing because there's life after football. Cap's legacy isn't going to be just the fact that he took a knee. Because if he took a knee in 2019 or 2020, we're not having this fucking conversation. So he led these results that we've got today. He tried and he got assassinated for it. Okay. They fucking ate him up and spit him out because they said he was a piece of shit and he was disrespectful and he was all these things. And those of us that understood what he was trying to do with the very limited platform that he had, he got chopped up. He would have probably still been in the league. Probably would have been a backup somewhere, or maybe not. Maybe it played out just the way it was supposed to. Maybe all of his actions meant that he was going to be somebody else after football. And it means more than the game. So I'm good with it. Don't come back. Keep doing what you're doing.
He's probably doing far better off money-wise.
That's what I'm saying.
Now.
He's probably making more, right, Nick? He's making better money advocating and speaking and doing whatever he's doing right now. I mean, anything with a Kaepernick 7 on it, the shirt's gone, dude. Anything that Cap puts out, anything Nike and Kaepernick related, it's sold. It's gone. I mean, you can't even get it. After 2 days, it's off the shelves. It's gone. So the guy's doing something that matters to him, and it was everything that he believed in. And people will say what they want, but I know what I believe, and I know what I saw, and how I interpret it meant more than football. So that's irrelevant. The fact that Tim Tebow came back, he's getting a second shot. Kaepernick had a shot, but he was fucking around and making a media spectacle about it instead of just doing the fucking tryout and just doing it. Don't talk. Just shut up right now and quit talking about the league was conspiring and they didn't want him. Just do the fucking tryout and everything will speak for itself, you know? And then he started talking about the league and moving shit, and everybody was trying to catch up. Like, where's Cap? Cap took tryout somewhere else. Well, God damn it. Just do the fucking tryout, you know? Quit fucking talking about conspiracies, you know? So the way I see it is this, you know? Kaepernick was given his opportunity. He took the tryout elsewhere, Nick, you know? That's or maybe his tryout wouldn't have even mattered. Maybe it wasn't enough to get anybody involved, but the league did him fucking dirty, and he knew it. And then he sued them, and I don't know, man. That was all fucking quiet, silent too. So at the end of the day, I don't know what Tim Tebow is going to what he's going to amount to in the league. He got murdered for his religious beliefs. They fucking ate him up. That platform is not to speak about religion. You don't, you know, they did not like that. And fuck you for trying, you know, to tear a guy down because he believed in Jesus Christ. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with you people? You know, leave the guy alone. He didn't do a fucking thing to anyone. Nicest dude. Didn't do shit. He just believed in his religion, and they fucking destroyed him for it. They just fucking roasted him. There's no room for religion. And the platform is to speak about football. Fuck you. He earned that fucking platform. He fucking earned it. Let him talk about whatever the fuck he wants. Shit. You ask stupid fucking questions anyway. You know? You ask dumb shit. We already know what the fuck you want to say. You know? Leave Tim Tebow the hell alone. I remembered it back then. I'm like, why do they care? Let him talk. If he believes in Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ was the reason that he became a talented football player, then let him give thanks to whoever he wants. Fuck out of here with your bullshit. I don't know, man. I think, look, you got another chance? Make the best of it, buddy. Fucking do it. Do whatever it is you want. You know? Do it or don't. If you suck, fuck it. You tried, right? What do you got to lose? You're with the fucking Jags. You're not running around chasing Patrick Mahomes, wiping his ass. So, you know, make the best of it. Do whatever the hell you want. That's what I think, man. I think.
Breathe, that John. Nick, breathe.
You know, the thing is, Nick, people are going to take this they're going to take this man and they're going to tear him to pieces. Or I'm sorry, they tore him to pieces. And now he's coming back and he's trying to make something of it. And I don't hate him for it, but I don't want anybody to say that when they keep bringing Kaepernick into it, Kaepernick is doing bigger things. He has not come out publicly and said that he wants to play football. Let him do what he's doing because someone has to do it. And I respect him for it. So Kaepernick is doing things bigger than football right now. And we need to move on from that. You know,
probably, to be fair to him, he's probably doing a much better job now off the field.
I agree. He's got to be making more money, and he's got to be doing, and it matters. So he's not missing football. He's not homeless. He's not starving. He's fighting. Let him do his thing.
Carl, have you got anything to add to that, or has John pretty much summed up the?
Praise the Lord, hallelujah. Fucking John's on the money on this one. No, listen, what John has said, he's 100% on the money on this. Many sporting athletes, they always believe in their Lord Savior in Jesus Christ. I've seen so many boxing fights where when Americans come out of fight and they actually talk after they go for the first question and they give them the microphone, he goes, first of all, I'd like to say, you know, a big thank you to our Lord Jesus Christ. That's their religion. Let them believe what they want to believe. Tim Tebow got assassinated for his character, and unfortunately, and people just look at it from the bad side of things. He was a bum in the NFL. He was a bum in Major League Baseball. Couldn't get into the main team for the Mets. I mean, I don't know a lot about baseball, but I know he was signed up to the Mets. It was signed up to the Mets. and he did work at ESPN. To be honest, he was not a bad. We call them pundits over here in the UK. He wasn't a bad pundit when it came to the NCAA. I always say I have a saying: everyone deserves a second chance in life. Tim Tebow deserves that second chance. So if he is going to play tight for Jacksonville, great. Or is he going to be behind the backroom staff? Doesn't matter. He has been given a second opportunity. Let him do his fucking job.
I think the thing is with that, and you made a very good point, maybe they should have just brought him in to the coaching staff, because obviously John has said about the motivational thing, and obviously I counteracted that with my younger players thing. But that's the thing I can't get my head around, is he's actually going to try as a player. He should, I'm sure he would be a great coach and things like that. But who knows? We'll see. Right, got one more thing to talk about before we get out of here. 2021 NFL London games, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. From a neutral's point of view, me being a neutral, I'm not going because I think they are horrible games to go and see. For the fans of these teams, fair play, crack on. Enjoy seeing, we've seen Jacksonville here for years, and every year I've supported them because they've supported this country, and they've been dire the whole time they've been here. I don't think they've ever been a reasonable team apart.
There was one year
when they
there
went
was that
to
one
the
year,
playoffs,
yeah,
wasn't it? But yeah, Jets, Falcons. I know Robert Sala's there, etc. Not interested. And the second one, I'm not here anyway, so I wouldn't be going to that. But yeah, Dolphins, Jag. Unfortunately, NFL, as they say on Dragon's Den, all those 4 teams are garbage. So for that reason, I'm out. Freddie.
No, I'm going to aim to go to the Finns Jags game. I don't know if I'll try. I live in Plymouth, so I'm over a couple of 100 miles away from London. So trying to get up for both weekends is always a bit of a challenge. But
you're closer to me than London.
Well, at the moment, we haven't got any trains at all coming from London to Plymouth because of GWR have got all their trains in. There's cracks on every train, so it's a bit awkward. But it's quite a long way for it.
Always bring the steam trains back.
You'd like to think so, but yeah.
So it's not the pandemic. It's not the pandemic that's slowing down transit. It's just shitty trains.
Well, both in this country.
All of the Hitachi high-speed trains because they found cracks somewhere or something or other.
Yeah,
and they've just literally said you're not driving any of these trains, and it's not fair because the poor people of Plymouth have only just moved on from fucking steam trains.
Yeah, we've only just about got into the 20th century. So.
Exactly. I'm surprised you've still got lighting up there, Freddie.
Yeah, I know. We've just about discovered electricity.
The other thing about the London games, which really pisses me off, is there's no Wembley games. Wembley season ticket holders are not included in the ballot for the Spurs ones. So you have to already be a season ticket holder at Spurs, which I know someone that is. So if I want to go, he will get up to 8 tickets, I think it is, he can get, and that's fine. But it's wrong for anybody. And I've been a season ticket holder at Wembley since the International Series started. And me and Pete have been going 6, 7, 8 years. We can't get tickets. We're going into a ballot. You're going from an 80,000 seater stadium to a 60,000 seater stadium. And I believe, I might be wrong, but probably around about 32 to 40,000 are season ticket holders at Spurs. You've then got all of the other corporate shit and all that other stuff. The pre-sales will go on sale, and then within 5 minutes they'll be on fucking StubHub, Ticketmaster
for 10 times
twice
the value.
The price.
Yeah,
which is bullshit. The NFL do nothing to stop it, and they won't because Ticketmaster and StubHub are major sponsors of the international series. So a fan of me, like me, I won't get it. I've got no chance. If the Niners were going, I'd be happy because I know I can get a ticket through my friend. Yeah. But I'd stand no chance unless I was going to pay, as you say, 5, 6, 7 times face value, which is bullshit. And
Can I
that's the
just make a
only
can I
thing.
ju- can I can I
Yes,
just make a
David.
valid can I just make a point here on the last game I went to go watch, which was the Buccaneers versus the Carolina Panthers. I actually waited until around about a month or so before the games, before that game was coming out, and then some people will actually, if they can't make it, they'll put it back onto Ticketmaster and they'll put it to a resale.
Yeah.
I actually managed to get 2 tickets for the Bucks game from my cousin, who's also a 49ers fan, and it cost me 280 quid for 2 tickets.
Shit.
Yeah.
Now,
All right.
We-
So which of the 2 stadiums is Wembley? Is 80,000,
Yeah, it's
And-
about 80. It's about
and-
85,000. Yeah.
and the Spurs can seat 60,000.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
there any
the diff-
particular reason why Wembley isn't hosting these games?
Daniel Levy,
Um,
basically. If you
but
want to
that,
go
and
into
I
the,
think there's some events going on or something. I know it
I was
clashed
just
with
gonna ask
something. this
there's
There's
some
al- there's al-
politics
there's-
involved.
There is some politics involved as well, but the thing is, Wembley's contract was only contracted for the Jacksonville games at the time, because obviously the Jags were coming over every single year. They were contracted for Jacksonville. They were then signed to add more and more games on. But when Tottenham Hotspur built their stadium, the Daniel Levy had the vision to say, actually, this stadium could be used for NFL games, and there could be a market in for us all. So the way they designed the stadium, they've designed it to make it look like an actual NFL stadium, let alone being a normal football stadium. And when going there, I'm an Arsenal fan. If anyone know about the Arsenal Spurs North London derby, you know I fucking hate that team with an absolute passion. It is like the Browns hating the Steelers. Okay, it's that sort of rivalry we're looking at here. But when you actually go in and actually understand the stadium, why they wanted to put games in there, it makes a lot more sense. They don't lose seating; they keep the whole 62,000 in. Whereas Wembley, they have to top off a lot of the seating area, and I think it's around about 72,000 that you can actually fit in Wembley, because
It's only about 5,000 seats they get rid of. It's normally in the
It's
80,000s.
And I
Wow.
believe
Okay.
it's because of the sight lines or something around the
Yeah.
stadium.
Okay.
It
All right,
doesn't
so
look.
how
It wouldn't look right on TV if you had fans all the way down. Where Spurs, you can, because they higher up the pitch.
they hire up
Or
the
the
pitch.
front.
Yeah, they hire
bring
it
the
up.
do they
pitch up,
do they
so it's
fill it
high
up?
level.
Yeah. It's sold out every time.
No
Sell out,
shit.
John.
Yeah.
It will sell out within 10 minutes.
Half an
every
hour.
game,
Yeah.
all the
Easy.
time.
Wow. I mean, listen, they've been trying to build the brand there. I thought that they were trying to get a team. What the hell did I hear that they were trying to do?
They want a franchise
Weren't they
over
trying-
here, the NFL.
They
I
do.
think.
They wanted to build a stadium there. No?
I think they were planning to use Tottenham Stadium for.
No, they were planning. I don't know. Sadiq Khan, the owner of Jacksonville, wanted to buy Wembley.
He did, but
That
not
was
not for a franchise though. He made that very clear. That was
Okay.
only to have
So- Oh,
2 or 3 games a season.
Underhandedly, he did, but
So they
Yeah,
were trying
I mean-
they were trying to expand into the UK to get the NFL more than just a matchup. So now there's going to be have there always been 2 games a season in England, or is this different?
It's
I know
normally
that Jacksonville always played. I remember that.
It started out with 1 game, and then it started doing 2 games. I think. When was the Saints Dolphins? It was 2015, wasn't it?
I think the
I
first
c- I
time they
could-
started doing 2
I
was
could be wrong.
I think it was 20. It might have been 2013 because I think the Steelers Vikings played, and there was another game that same year. So I think it might have been that year.
they are
Yeah, it was,
trying,
yeah.
I think, to get 6 games a year. At least pre-COVID, there was 4, and they want to get 6 now.
They won't get 6 games over here in the UK.
The plan
Their
is to have
Go on, Freddie.
two in the UK, 1 in Germany, and 1 in Mexico
Yes.
from next year.
Yes, there you go,
And-
Freddie. Germany
then-
and Mexico.
And then any additional games, teams can negotiate themselves. So the Jags can go and negotiate a deal at Wembley to play a game a year there, or I don't know. And the Chargers can negotiate a game to play in said city. I don't know, Madrid, for example. Or, but then teams are allowed to do additional games if they want to. But as a low bar, we will always have at least 2 games here a year in this coming agreement from next year.
I'll say this right now. I'm going to try my damn hardest next year to get a ticket for Germany, because a
Yeah.
weekend in Germany is chaotic. It's
How long does
chaotic.
it take for you to get there?
So now we're flying.
It's about
Couple hours.
it's about an hour and a half, about
Yeah.
a couple of hours flight.
The
Yeah.
other good thing as well, Carl, talking about that, is if they're still playing him in October, you know what Germany's like in October.
Oktoberfest.
Yeah, back end of
I wouldn't
September,
make it
early
to the game.
October.
I'd be lying in a gutter somewhere in Stuttgart or somewhere. Anyway, right, we're going to wrap this up, chaps.
Can we,
Been great.
before we wrap this up, I have one thing
Yeah.
to say to Carl, because I noticed the jersey he's wearing, that they're gonna the Bruins are gonna get destroyed in the playoffs, and the Pens are going all the way to win the Stanley Cup.
Correction. The Bruins are the hottest team going into the playoffs. They are 12-4-1. We've sorted out a little bit more of our defensive side of things, and we have a proper backup goaltender who can help Tuukka Rask. So be prepared,
I also
Sunshine.
say-
Be prepared.
We shall see.
I'm
We
gonna
might see
throw
you in the
my
second
opinion.
round.
I'm going to throw my opinion on this. Ice
You don't give a shit
hockey.
about hockey.
Yeah, here we go.
Ice hockey is a Canadian sport, not an American sport. We
No,
don't talk
that's-
about
no.
that on this show.
Understandable.
I've got no
Understandable.
idea what you're talking about. And the only good thing about ice hockey was the film Slapshot with Paul Newman. End of discussion when you talk about ice hockey. John, Carl, Freddie, as ever, always a pleasure. I will be back later doing some DJing, going out on YouTube and wherever. Guys, it's been really, really great. Stay safe, everyone. Still wear those masks when you go out. Make sure you do, because we are trying to get out of this lockdown, and we will soon. So just stay safe, wash your hands, wear your mask, do all that caper. My name's Nick. He's Freddie. That's Carl. That's John. Take care, everybody. We out.
Later, fellas.
Cheers, guys.